You guys ready?
I hope
Oh,
so.
oh, is everybody Vader?
No, that would be the ultimate. That would be the only way to do it. But no. All right, let's do it. Let's do
So,
it. I'm excited.
Commander, tear this ship apart. See, I got it. I'm telling you.
All
Let's
right.
do it, guys.
Before we start, real quick, Kale.
Yes.
Um, just for example, if we're like, if I'm being narrator or whatever and reading this intro, like, how like enthusiastic should I be? Am I just like
Um.
kind of monologue like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away? Or am I like, something else? Like, what do you want?
Actually, well, someone else should maybe read the crawl, and I'll
Yeah,
read the
but like,
crawl. So I'll read the a long time ago. I'll read the it is a period. Blah blah blah. Those three little paragraphs. I'll read
yeah.
those, and then everything else just narrate like you're reading a book in class, right? Like you're reading out loud.
All right, cool. Sounds good.
All right. So Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can I
sure.
can I
Yeah.
try something?
Yeah.
Can
Go
you
ahead.
guys I don't know if you guys can hear the voice changer or not. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe I
It
can
doesn't
edit.
sound very different. It sounds like Maxwell. I think your impression was good enough. It's fine.
All right. We'll go
Okay.
with that.
Okay. So, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. J- J- John, you got to read the thing.
I thought you said you were gonna take the
No,
top.
no. So I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read a long time ago, and then you read the next line, and then I'll read the. It is a period of civil blah 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 blah
Oh my
That's
down
god.
right.
to
So
galaxy, down to
so
galaxy.
you and then I'm getting a Vasi, and then I'm getting that the awesome yellow planet, and then I'll keep going from there.
Yes.
All right, cool.
All right. Awesome.
Run it back, run it back.
Run it back. Run it back. Run it back. All right. All right. Hold up. Hold up. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
A vast sea of stars serves as the backdrop for the main title. War drums echo through the heavens as a roll-up slowly crawls into infinity.
It is a period of civil war. Rebel spaceships, striking from a hidden base, have won their first victory against the evil Galactic Empire. During the battle, Rebel spies managed to steal secret plans to the Empire's ultimate weapon, the Death Star, an armored space station with enough power to destroy an entire planet. Pursued by the Empire's sinister agents, Princess Leia races home aboard her starship, custodian of the stolen plans that can save her people and restore freedom to the galaxy.
The awesome yellow planet of Tatooine emerges from a total eclipse, her two moons glowing against the darkness. A tiny silver spacecraft, a rebel blockade runner firing lasers from the back of the ship, races through space. It is pursued by a giant Imperial Star Destroyer. Hundreds of deadly laser bolts streak from the Imperial Star Destroyer, causing the main solar fin of the rebel craft to disintegrate.
All right, that was
Right,
good. Next is an explosion. That's you. Yeah.
right. An explosion rocks the ship as two robots, R2D2 and C3PO, struggle to make their way through the shaking, bouncing passageway. Both robots are old and battered. R2 is a short, claw-armed tripod. His face is a massive computer light surrounding a radar eye. 3PO, on the other hand, is a tall, slender robot of human proportions. He has a gleaming bronze-like metallic surface of an Art Deco design. Another blast shakes them as they struggle along their way.
Did you hear that? They've shut down the main reactor. We'll be destroyed for sure. This is madness.
Rebel troopers rush past the robots and take up positions in the main passageway. They aim their weapons towards the door.
We're doomed.
The little R2 unit makes a series of electronic sounds that only another robot can understand.
Beep boop beep beep boop.
There'll be no escape for the princess this time.
Beep boop boop boop.
R2 continues making beeping sounds. Tension mounts as loud metallic latches clank and the scream of heavy equipment are heard moving around the outside hull of the ship.
What's that?
The Imperial craft has easily overtaken the Rebel blockade runner. The small Rebel ship is being drawn into the underside dock of the giant Imperial starship. The nervous Rebel troopers aim their weapons. Suddenly, a tremendous blast opens up the hole in the main passageway, and a score of fearsome armored space-suited stormtroopers make their way into the smoke-filled corridor. In a few minutes, the entire passageway is ablaze with laser fire. The deadly bolts ricochet in wild random patterns, creating huge explosions. Stormtroopers scatter and duck behind storage lockers. Laser bolts hit several Rebel soldiers who scream and stagger through the smoke,
Ah!
holding shattered arms and faces. An explosion hits near the robots.
I should have known better than to trust the logic of a half-sized thermocapsulary dehousing system.
R2 counters with an angry rebuttal as the battle rages around the two hapless robots.
We can skip this scene. We can skip it. That's deleted scene. Start at the awesome.
Okay.
The awesome, 7-foot-tall Dark Lord of the Sith makes his way into the blinding light of the main passageway. This is Darth Vader, right hand of the Emperor. His face is obscured by his flowing black robes and grotesque breath mask, which stands out next to the fascist white armored suits of the Imperial stormtroopers. Everyone instinctively backs away from the imposing warrior, and a deathly quiet sweeps through the rebel troops. Several of the rebel troops break and run in a frenzied panic. A woman's hand puts a card into the opening of R2's dome. R2 makes beeping sounds.
Beep boop boop boop.
3PO stands in a hallway, somewhat bewildered. R2 is nowhere in sight. The pitiful screams of the doomed rebel soldiers can be heard in the distance.
Ah!
R2? R2-D2, where are you?
A familiar clanking sound attacks 3PO's attention, and he spots little R2 at the end of the hallway in a smoke-filled alcove. A beautiful young girl, about 16 years old, stands in front of R2, surreal and out of place, dreamlike, and half hidden in the smoke. She finishes adjusting something on R2's computer face, then watches as a little robot joins his companion.
At last, where have you been?
Stormtroopers can be heard battling in the distance.
They're heading in this direction. What are we going to do? We'll be sent to the spice mine of Kessel or smashed into who knows what.
R2 scoots past his bronze friend and races down the sub-hallway. 3PO chases after him.
Wait a minute. Where are you going?
Beep boop boop boop.
R2 responds with electronic beeps. The evil Darth Vader stands amid the broken and twisted bodies of his foes. He grabs a wounded rebel officer by the neck as an Imperial officer rushes up to the Dark Lord.
The Death Star plans are not in the main computer.
Vader squeezes the neck of the rebel officer, who struggles in vain.
Where are those transmissions you intercepted?
Oh, that's good.
Vader lifts the rebel off his feet by his throat.
What have you done with those plans?
We intercepted no transmissions. This is a consular ship. We're on a diplomatic mission.
If this is a consular ship, where's the ambassador?
The rebel refuses to speak, but eventually cries out as the Dark Lord begins to squeeze the officer's throat, creating a gruesome snapping and choking until the soldier goes limp. Vader tosses the dead soldier against the wall and turns to his troops.
Commander, tear this ship apart until you've found those plans, and bring me the ambassador. I want her alive.
The stormtroopers scurry into the sub-hallways. The lovely young girl huddles in a small alcove as the stormtroopers search through the ship. She is Princess Leia Organa, a member of the Alderaan Senate. The fear in her eyes slowly gives way to anger as the muted, crushing sounds of the approaching stormtroopers grow louder. One of the troopers spots her.
There she is, set for stun.
Leia steps from her hiding place and blasts a trooper with her laser pistol. She starts to run, but is felled by a paralyzing ray. The troopers inspect her inert body.
She'll be all right. Inform Lord Vader we have a prisoner.
R2 stops before the small hatch of an emergency life pod. He snaps a seal on the main latch and a red warning light begins to flash. The stubby astro robot works his way into the cramped 4-man pod.
Hey, you're not permitted in there. It's restricted. It'll be deactivated for sure.
R2 beeps something to him.
Beep boop 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 boop.
Don't call me a mindless philosopher, you overweight blob of grease. Now come out before somebody sees you.
R2 whistles something at his reluctant friend regarding the mission he is about to perform.
Wee whoop whoop.
Secret mission? What plans? What are you talking about? I'm not getting in there.
R2 isn't happy with 3PO's stubbornness, and he beeps and twangs angrily.
Wee wop
A new,
wop.
a new explosion, this time very close, sends dust and debris through the narrow sub-hallway. Flames lick at 3PO, and after a flurry of electronic swearing from R2, the lanky robot jumps into the life pod.
Wee wop wop.
I'm going to regret this.
On the main view screen, the life pod carrying the two terrified robots speeds away from the stricken rebel spacecraft.
All right, I'll be chief pilot. You be captain. Okay, John.
All right.
There goes another one.
Hold your fire. There are no life forms. It must have been short-circuited. R2 and 3PO look out at the receding Imperial starship. Stars circle as the pod rotates through the galaxy.
That's funny, the damage doesn't look as bad from out here.
R2 beeps an assuring response.
Beep boop boop.
Are you sure this thing's safe?
We can
He
skip
waits-
this scene. We can skip this scene. Skip. You
Am I
can,
starting at Luke first?
we can go down to Princess Leia is led.
Um,
All right.
Yeah, John, that's you.
Yep. Princess Leia is led down a low-ceilinged hallway by a squad of armored stormtroopers. Her hands are bound and she is brutally shoved when she is unable to keep up with the briskly marching troops. They stop in a smoky hallway as Darth Vader emerges from the shadows. The sinister Dark Lord stares hard at the frail young senator, but she doesn't move.
Lord Vader, I should have known. Only you could be so bold. The Imperial Senate will not sit for this when they hear you've attacked a diplomatic.
Don't play games with me, Your Highness. You weren't on any mercy mission this time. You passed directly through a restricted system. Several transmissions were beamed to this ship by rebel spies. I want to know what happened to those plans they sent you.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
You are a part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away.
Leia is marched away down the hallway and into a smoldering hole blasted in the side of the ship. An Imperial commander turns to Vader.
Holding her is dangerous. If word of this gets out, it could generate sympathy for the rebellion in the Senate.
I have traced the rebel spies to her. Now she is my only link to finding their secret base.
She'll die before she tells you anything.
Leave that to me. Send a distress signal, and then inform the Senate that all aboard were killed.
Another Imperial officer approaches Vader and the commander. They stop and snap to attention.
Lord Vader, the battle station plans are not aboard this ship, and no transmissions were made. An escape pod was jettisoned during the fighting, but no life forms were aboard.
She must
Vader
have hidden the
turns-
Oh, sorry.
Vader turns to the commander.
She must have hidden the plans in the escape pod. Send a detachment down to retrieve them. See to it personally, Commander. There'll be no one to stop us this time.
Yes, sir.
The Imperial Star Destroyer comes over the surface of the planet Tatooine, Junlin, or No Man's Land, where the rugged desert
Mesas.
Mesas.
mesas meet the foreboding Dune Sea. The two helpless astro droids kick up clouds of sand as they leave the life pod and clumsily work their way across the desert wasteland. The life pod in the distance rests half buried in sand.
How did I get into this mess? I really don't know how. We seem to be made to suffer. It's our lot in life.
R2 answers with beeping sounds.
Beep boop boop beep boop.
I've got to rest before I fall apart. My joints are almost frozen.
R2 continues to respond with beeping sounds.
Weep boop boop.
What a desolate place this is.
Suddenly, R2 whistles, makes a sharp right turn, and starts off in the direction of the rocky desert mesas. 3PO stops and yells at him.
Where are you going?
A stream of electronic noises pours forth from the small robot.
Beep.
Well, I'm not going that way. It's much too rocky. This way is much easier.
R2 counters with a long whistle.
Beep.
What makes you think there are settlements over there?
R2 continues to make beeping sounds.
Beep beep.
Don't get technical with me.
R2 continues to make beeping sounds.
Beep beep beep.
What mission? What are you talking about? I've had just about enough of you. Go that way. You'll be malfunctioning within a day, you nearsighted scrap pile.
3PO gives the little robot a kick and starts off in the direction of the vast dune sea.
And don't let me catch you following me begging for help, because you won't get it.
Fuck
R2's
off.
R2's reply is a rather rude sound. He turns and trudges off in the direction of the towering messes.
Fuck off.
Mesas. Jeez.
Misa Jar Jar Binks. Oh,
No more
God.
adventures. I'm not going that way.
R2 beeps to himself as he makes his way towards the distant mountains.
Beep 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 beep.
3PO, hot and tired, struggles up over the ridge of a dune, only to find more dunes, which seem to go on for an endless miles. He looks back in the direction of the now distant rock mesas.
That malfunctioning little twerp. This is all his fault. He tricked me into going this way, but he'll do no better.
In a huff of anger and frustration, 3PO knocks the sand from his joints. His plight seems hopeless when a glint of reflected light in the distance reveals an object moving towards him.
Wait, what's that? A transport. I'm saved.
Ron's android waves frantically and yells at the approaching transport.
Over here! Help! Please, help!
Skip this scene. We can skip it. Skip. Keep scrolling.
You know, I don't remember 3PO being such an ass.
He is. He's terrible. He's a big
Exactly what
dickhead.
that
Exterior Tatooine Rock Canyon sunset.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, goddamn, that's a lot of reading, bro.
I know, right?
Wait, let me get a sip of my drink
I can
first.
start it if you need.
Or I
take
can
this
do
one
it.
from me.
Or I can do it.
Just someone.
Go on.
I got it. All right. The gargantuan rock formations are shrouded in a strange, foreboding mist, and the ominous sounds of unearthly creatures fill the air. God damn, George Lucas. You suck at writing. R2 moves cautiously through the creepy rock canyon, inadvertently making a loud clicking noise as he goes. He hears a distant, hard, metallic sound and stops for a moment. Convinced he is alone, he continues on his way. In the distance, a pebble tumbles down the steep canyon wall and a small dark figure darts into the shadows. A little further up the canyon, a slight flicker of light reveals a pair of eyes in the dark recesses, only a few feet from the narrow path. The unsuspecting robot waddles along the rugged trail until suddenly, out of nowhere, a powerful magnetic ray shoots out of the rocks and engulfs him in an eerie glow. Also, Utini! He manages only one short electronic squeak before he topples over onto his back. His bright computer lights flicker off, then on, then off again. Out of the rocks scurry 3 Jawas, no taller than R2. They holster strange and complex weapons as they cautiously approach the robot. They wear grubby cloaks, and their faces are shrouded so only their glowing eyes can be seen. They hiss and make odd guttural sounds as they heave the heavy robot onto their shoulders and carry him off down the trail. You good, John?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Right. The 8 Jawas carry R2 out of the canyon to a huge tank-like vehicle the size of a 4-story house. They weld a small disc on the side of R2 and then put him under a large tube on the side of the vehicle, and the little robot is sucked into the giant machine. The filthy little Jawas scurry like rats up small ladders and enter the main cabin of the behemoth transport. It is dim inside the hold area of the sandcrawler. R2 switches on a small floodlight on his forehead and stumbles around the scrap heap. The narrow beam swings across rusty metal rocket parts and an array of grotesquely twisted and maimed astro robots. He lets out a pathetic electronic whimper and stumbles off towards what appears to be a door at the end of the chamber.
Wee woo.
R2 enters a wide room with a 4-foot ceiling. In the middle of the scrap heap sit a dozen or so robots of various shapes and sizes. Some are engaged in electronic conversation, while others simply mill about. A voice of recognition calls out from the gloom.
R2D2, it's you. It's you.
A battered 3PO scrambles up to R2 and embraces him. The enormous sandcrawler lumbers off towards the magnificent twin suns, which are slowly setting over a distant mountain ridge. Four Imperial stormtroopers mill about in front of the half-buried life pod that brought R2 and 3PO to Tatooine. A trooper yells to an officer some distance away.
Someone was in this pod. The tracks go off in this direction.
A second trooper picks a small bit of metal out of the sand and gives it to the first trooper.
Look, sir, droids.
The sandcrawler moves slowly down a great sand dune. 3PO and R2 noisily bounce along inside the cramped prison chamber. R2 appears to be shut off.
Wake up! Wake up!
Suddenly, the shaking and bouncing of the sandcrawler stops, creating quite a commotion among the mechanical men. 3PO's fist bangs the head of R2, whose computer lights pop on as it begins beeping. At the far end of the long chamber, a hatch opens, filling the chamber with blinding white light. A dozen or so Jawas make their way through odd assortment of robots.
We're doomed.
A Jawa starts moving towards them.
Do you think they'll melt us down?
R2 responds, making beeping noises.
Beep, boop, boop, beep, boop.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Will this never end?
Jawas.
We didn't quite hear that.
Internet's dipping. So,
Yeah, no worries.
it should be back.
Yeah,
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Will this never end?
yeah.
The Jawas mutter gibberish as they busily line up their battered captives, including R2 and 3PO, in front of the enormous sandcrawler, which is parked beside a small homestead consisting of 3 large holes in the ground, surrounded by several tall moisture evaporators and one small adobe blockhouse.
Adobe.
Adobe, all right.
Like
I think,
Photoshop. Like
Yeah,
Photoshop.
sweet. All right. The Jawas scurry around, fussing over the robots, straightening them up or brushing some dust from the dented metallic elbow. The shrouded little creatures smell horribly, attracting small insects to the dark areas when their mouths and nostrils should be. Out of the shadows, a dingy side building limps Owen Lars, a large burly man in his mid-50s. His reddish eyes are sunken in a dust-covered cloud. As the farmer carefully inspects each robot, he is closely followed by his slump-shouldered nephew, Luke Skywalker. One of the vile little Jawas walks out of the farmer, spouting in an animated sales pitch in a queer, unintelligible language. A voice calls out from one of the huge holes that form the homestead. Luke goes over to the edge and sees his Aunt Beru standing in the main courtyard.
Do you want to be Uncle Owen, John? You'll be Owen and I'll be Baru.
All right.
Luke, tell Owen that if he gets a translator, to be sure it speaks Bocce.
It looks like we don't have much, but I'll remind him.
You're supposed to be yelling that, but whatever.
What?
You're supposed to be yelling that, but whatever. Keep going. Show must go on.
Luke returns to his uncle. Luke returns to his uncle as they look over the equipment for sale with the Jawa leader. I have no need for a protocol droid.
So, not in an environment such as this. That's why I've also been programmed for over 30 secondary functions that...
What I really need is a droid that understands the binary language of moisture evaporators.
Vaporators, sir. My first job was programming binary load lifter. Very similar to your vaporators, you could say.
Do you speak Bocce?
Of course I can, sir. It's like a second language for me. I'm as fluent in bocce.
All right, shut up. I'll take this one.
Shutting up, sir.
Luke, take these two over to the garage, will you? I want you to have both of them cleaned up before dinner.
But I was going into Tashi Station to pick up some power converters.
You can waste time with your friends when your chores are done. Now come on, get to it.
All right, come on. And the red one. Come on. Well, come on, Red. Let's go.
As the Jawas start to lead the 3 remaining robots back into the sandcrawler, R2 lets out a pathetic little beep and starts after his old friend 3PO. He is restrained by a slimy Jawa who zaps him with a control box. Owen is negotiating with the head Jawa. Luke and the 2 robots start off for the garage, when a plate pops off the head of the red asteroid droid's head plate and it sparks wildly.
Uncle Owen,
Yeah?
this R2 unit has a bad motivator. Look.
Hey, what are you trying to push on us? The Jawa goes into a loud spiel. Meanwhile, R2 is sneaked out of line and is moving up and down, trying to attract attention. He lets out with a low whistle. 3PO taps Luke on the shoulder.
Wee whoop.
Excuse me, sir, but that R2 unit is in prime condition. A real bargain.
Uncle Owen,
Yeah?
what about that one?
What about that blue one? We'll take that one. With a little reluctance, the scruffy dwarf trades a damaged asteroid droid for R2.
Yeah, take it away.
I'm quite sure you'll be very pleased with that one, sir. He really is in first-class condition. I've worked with him before. Here he comes.
Owen pays off the whining Jawa as Luke and the two robots trudge off towards a grimy homestead entry.
Okay, let's go.
Now, don't you forget this. Why I should stick my neck out for you is quite beyond my capacity.
The garage is cluttered and worn, but a friendly, peaceful atmosphere permeates the low gray chamber. 3PO lowers himself into a large tub filled with warm oil. Near the battered land speeder, little R2 rests on a large battery with a cord to his face.
Ah, thank the maker. This oil bath is going to feel so good. I've got such a bad case of dust contamination I can barely move.
R2 beeps a muffled reply. Luke seems to be lost in thought as he runs his hand over the damaged fin of a small two-man skyhopper spaceship resting in the low hangar off the garage. Finally, Luke's frustrations get the better of him and he slams a wrench across the workbench.
It just isn't fair. Oh, Biggs is right. I'm never gonna get out of here.
3PO?
Is there anything I might do to help?
Luke glances at the bad robot. A bit of his anger drains and a tiny smile creeps across his face.
Well, not unless you can alter time, speed up the harvest, or teleport me off this rock.
I don't think so, sir. I'm only a droid and not very knowledgeable about such things. Not on this planet, anyways. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure which planet I'm on.
Well, if there's a bright center to the universe, you're on the planet that's farthest from.
I see, sir.
You can call me Luke.
I see, Sir Luke.
Just Luke.
And I am C3PO, Human Cyborg Relations, and this is my counterpart, R2D2.
Hello.
R2 beeps in response. Luke unplugs R2 and begins to scrape several connectors on the robot's head with a chrome pick. 3PO climbs out of the oil tub and begins wiping oil from his bronze body.
You got a lot of carbon scoring here. It looks like you boys have seen a lot of action.
With all we've been through, sometimes I'm amazed we're in as good condition as we are, what with the rebellion and all.
You know of the rebellion against the Empire?
That's how we came to be in your service, if you take my meaning, sir.
Have you been in many battles?
Several, I think. Actually, there's not that much to tell. I'm not much more than an interpreter, and not very good at telling stories. Well, not at making them interesting, anyways.
Luke struggles to remove a small metal fragment from R2's neck joint. He uses a larger pick.
Well, my little friend, you've got something jammed in here real good. Were you on a cruiser or...
Fragment breaks loose with a snap, sending Luke tumbling head over heels. He sits up and sees a 12-inch, three-dimensional hologram of Leia, or is it Organa?
Either way. Yeah.
Organa, the rebel senator, being projected from the face of little R2. The image is a rainbow of colors as it flickers and jiggles in the dimly lit garage. Luke's mouth hangs open in awe.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
What's this?
R2 looks around and sheepishly beeps for an answer for 3PO to translate. Leia continues to repeat this sentence fragment over and over.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
What is that? He asked you a question. What is that?
R2 whistles his surprise as he pretends to just notice a hologram. He looks around and sheepishly beeps an answer for 3PO to translate. Leia continues to repeat the sentence fragment over and over.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Oh, he says it's nothing, sir. Merely malfunction. Old data. Pay it no mind.
Luke becomes intrigued by the beautiful girl.
Who is she? She's beautiful.
I'm afraid I'm not quite sure, sir.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I think she was a passenger on her last voyage. A person of some importance, sir, I believe. Our captain was attached to...
Is there more of this recording?
Luke reaches out for R2, but he lets out several frantic squeaks and a whistle.
Beep, beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, boop. Wii U.
Behave yourself, R2. You're going to get us in trouble. It's all right. You can trust him. He's our new master.
R2 whistles and beeps a long message to 3PO.
Beep, boop, beep, boop, bop, beep, boop, boop, beepity, beep, bop, bop, skibbity, hibbity, beep, bop, boop.
He says he's the property of Obi-Wan Kenobi, a resident of these parts, and it's a private message for him. Quite frankly, sir, I don't know what he's talking about. My last master was Captain Antilles, but with what we've been through, this little R2 unit has become a little eccentric.
Obi-Wan Kenobi? I wonder if he means old Ben Kenobi.
I beg your pardon, sir, but do you know what you're... Sorry. I beg your pardon, sir, but do you know what he's talking about?
Well, I don't know anyone named Obi-Wan, but old Ben lives out beyond the Dune Sea. He's kind of a strange old hermit.
Gazes at the beautiful young princess for a few moments.
I wonder who she is. It sounds like she's in trouble. I better play back the whole thing.
R2 beeps something to 3PO.
He says the restraining bolt has short-circuited his recording system. He suggests that if you remove the bolt, you might be able to play back the entire recording.
Luke looks longingly at the lovely little princess and hasn't really heard what 3PO has been saying.
Oh, yeah, well, I guess you're too small to run away on me if I take this off. Okay.
Luke takes a wedged bar and pops off the restraining bolt off R2's side.
There you go.
The princess immediately disappears.
Well, wait a minute. Where'd she go? Bring her back. Play the entire message.
R2 beeps an innocent reply as 3PO sits up in embarrassment.
Beep, boop, beep, boop.
What message? The one you're carrying around your rusty innards.
A woman's voice calls out from another room.
Luke, Luke, come to dinner.
Luke stands up and shakes his head at the malfunctioning robot.
All right, I'll be right there, Aunt Baru.
I'm sorry, sir, but he appears to have picked up a slight flutter.
Luke tosses R2's restraining bolt on the workbench and hurries out of the room.
We'll see what you can do with him. I'll be right back.
Just you reconsider playing that message for him.
Beep,
No, I don't think he likes you at all.
beep.
No, I don't like you either.
I think it would be faster if I just did the beeps when it says R2 beeps. I'll just do that.
Here, here.
Yeah, save John some work. Poor,
Right.
Poor John gets to read the most and he's got COVID.
All right, here we go. Is it Baru?
Yes.
Luke's Aunt Baru, a warm, motherly woman, fills a pitcher with blue fluid from a refrigerated container in the well-used kitchen. She puts the pitcher on a tray with some bowls of food and starts for the dining area. Luke sits with his Uncle Owen before a table covered with steaming bowls of food as Aunt Baru carries in a bowl of red grain.
You know, I think that R2 unit we bought might have been stolen.
What makes you think that?
Well, I stumbled across a recording while I was cleaning him. He says he belongs to someone called Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Owen is greatly alarmed at the mention of his name, but manages to control himself.
I thought he might have meant old Ben. Do you know what he's talking about? Well, I wonder if he's really related to...
Owen breaks loose with a fit of uncontrolled anger. That old man's just a crazy old wizard. Tomorrow I want you to take that R2 unit into Anchorhead and have its memory flushed. That'll be the end of it. It belongs to us now.
But what if this Obi-Wan comes looking for him?
He won't. I don't think he exists anymore. He died about the same time as your father.
He knew my father?
I told you to forget it. Your only concern is to prepare the new droids for tomorrow. In the morning, I want them on the South Ridge working out those condensers.
Yes, sir. I think those new droids are going to work out fine. In fact, I was also thinking about our agreement about my stay in another season. And if these droids do work out, I want to transmit my application to the Academy this year.
Owen's face becomes a scowl, although he tries to suppress it. You mean the next semester before harvest?
Sure, there's more than enough droids.
Harvest is when I need you the most. Only one more season. This year we'll make enough on the harvest, so I'll be able to hire some more hands, and then you can go to the academy next year. Luke continues to toy with his food, not looking at his uncle. You must understand, I need you here, Luke.
But it's a whole nother year.
Look, it's only one more season. Luke pushes his half-eaten plate of food aside and stands.
Yeah, that's what you said last year when Biggs and Tank left.
Where are you going?
It looks like I'm going nowhere. I have to finish cleaning those droids.
Resigned to his fate, Luke paddles out of the room. Owen mechanically finishes his dinner.
Owen, he can't stay here forever. Most of his friends have gone. It means so much to him.
I'll make it up to him next year, I promise.
Luke's just not a farmer, Owen. He has too much of his father in him.
That's what I'm afraid of. The giant twin suns of Tatooine slowly disappear behind a distant dune range. Luke stands watching them for a few moments, then reluctantly enters the doomed entrance to the homestead.
Wait. All right, there we go. You can go. I just had to do the music cue.
Luke enters the garage to discover the robots nowhere in sight. He takes a small control box from his utility belt, similar to the one the Jawas were carrying. He activates the box, which creates a low hum, and 3PO, letting out a short yell, pops up from behind the Skyhopper spacecraft.
What are you doing hiding there?
3PO stumbles forward, but R2 is still nowhere in sight.
It wasn't my fault, sir. Please don't deactivate me. I told him not to go, but he's faulty, malfunctioning, babbling on about his mission.
Oh no.
Luke races out of the garage, followed by 3PO. Luke rushes out of the small doomed entry to the homestead and searches the darkening horizon for the small tripod.
Tripod.
Tripod. Yeah.
Tripod Astro robot.
Technically, it should be
struggles-
tripod, I guess.
Yeah, there's typos in the script because George Lucas was not perfect, just nearly.
Oh wait, are you guys on the correct one? Here, I'll send you the correct one. This one is better, I guess. It's easier to read. This one.
That's the one we're on. It just has the occasional typo.
John, are you on that one?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that has this typo, so yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
still
I mean,
trying to
this is
look
like a
where the
fourth
tripod
draft or
is.
something.
Yeah, I'm still looking where the
Alright.
tripod thing is.
It's like a bipod, but 3.
Oh, it's way down here. I got so distracted. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Keep going. Keep
Uh,
fucking going. Sorry.
Alright, I'll just restart. Luke rushes out of the small doomed entry to the homestead and searches the darkening horizon for the small tripod Astro robot. 3PO struggles out of the homestead and on the salt flat as Luke scans the landscape with his electro binoculars.
That R2 unit has always been a problem. These asteroids are getting quite out of hand. Even I can't understand their logic at times.
How could I be so stupid? He's nowhere in sight. Blast it.
Pardon me, sir, but couldn't we go after him?
It's too dangerous with all the sand people around. We'll have to wait until morning.
Owen yells up from the homestead plaza. Luke, I'm shutting the power down for the night.
Alright, I'll be there in a few minutes. Boy, am I gonna get it.
He takes one final look across the dim horizon.
You know that little droid is gonna cause me a lot of trouble.
Oh, he excels at that, sir.
Morning slowly creeps into the sparse but sparkling oasis of the open courtyard. The
Idyll.
idyll is broken by the yelling of Uncle Owen, his voice echoing throughout the homestead. Luke, Luke, Luke. Where could he be loafing around now? The interior of the kitchen is a warm glow as Aunt Beru prepares the morning breakfast. Owen enters in a huff. Have you seen Luke this morning?
He said he had some things to do before he started today, so he left early.
Uh, did he take those two new droids with him?
I think so.
Well, he'd better have those units in the South Range repaired by midday, or there'll be hell to pay. The rock and sand of the desert floor are a blur as 3PO pilots the sleek land speeder gracefully across the vast wasteland. Luke leans over the back of the speeder and adjusts something in the motor compartment.
How's that?
3PO signals that is fine, and Luke turns back into the wind-whipped cockpit and pops the canopy shut.
Old Ben Kenobi lives out in this direction somewhere, but I don't see how that R2 could have come this far. We must have missed him. Uncle Owen isn't going to take this very well.
Sir, would it help if you told him it was my fault?
Sure, he needs you. He probably only deactivate you for a day or so.
Deactivate? Well, on the other hand, if you hadn't removed his restraining bolt.
Wait, there's something dead ahead on the scanner. It looks like our droid. Hit the accelerator.
High on a rock mesa, the tiny land speeder can be seen gliding across the desert floor. Suddenly, in the foreground, two weather-beaten sand people, shrouded in their grimy desert cloaks, peer over the edge of the rock mesa. One of the marginally human creatures raises a long, ominous laser rifle and points at the speeder, but the second creature grabs the gun before it can be fired. The Sand People, or Tusken Raiders as they're sometimes called, speak in a coarse, barbaric language. As they get into an animated argument, the second Tusken Raider seems to get in the final word, and the nomads scurry over the rocky terrain. The Tusken Raider approaches two large banthas standing tied to a rock. The monstrous bear-like creatures are as large as elephants with huge red eyes, tremendous looped horns, and long, furry, dinosaur-like tails. The Tusken Raiders mount saddles strapped to the huge creature's shaggy backs and ride off down the rugged bluff. The speeder is parked on the floor of a massive canyon. Luke, with his long laser rifle slung over his shoulder, stands before little R2.
Hey, whoa, just where do you think you're going?
The little droid whistles a feeble reply as 3PO poses menacingly behind the little runaway.
Weep, whoop, whoop, whoop.
Master Luke here is your rightful owner. We'll have no more of this Obi-Wan Kenobi gibberish. And don't talk to me about your mission either. You're fortunate he doesn't blast you into a million pieces right here.
Well, come on, it's getting late. I only hope we can get back before Uncle Owen really blows up.
If you don't mind me saying so, sir, I think you should deactivate the little fugitive until you've gotten him back to your workshop.
No, he's not going to try anything.
Weep, whoop, whoop,
Suddenly,
weep, whoop, whoop, weep, weep, whoop, whoop, weep, whoop. Weep.
What's wrong with him now?
Oh my! Sir, he says there are several creatures approaching from the southeast.
swings his rifle into position and looks to the south.
Sand people, or worse. Come on, let's have a look. Come on.
Luke carefully makes his way to the top of a rock ridge and scans the canyon with his electro-binoculars. He spots the two riderless banthas. 3PO struggles up behind the young adventurer.
There are two banthas down there, but I don't see any. Wait a second. There are sand people, all right. I can see one of them now.
Luke watches the distant Tusken Raiders through his electro-binoculars. Suddenly, something huge moves in front of his field of view. Before Luke or 3PO can react, a large, gruesome Tusken Raider looms over them. 3PO is startled and backs away, right off the side of the cliff. He can be heard for several moments as he clangs, bangs, and rattles down the side of the mountain. The towering creature brings down his curved, double-pointed
Gatterfee. Yeah, that's a Star Wars word. Yeah. Yeah, Gatterfee.
Gatterfee, the dreaded axe blade that has struck terror in the heart of the local settlers. But Luke manages to block the blow with his laser rifle, which is smashed to pieces. The terrified farm boy scrambles backward until he is forced to the edge of the deep crevice. The sinister raider stands over him with his weapon raised and lets out a horrible shrieking laugh. R2 forces himself into the shadows of a small alcove in the rocks as the vicious sand people walk past carrying the inert Luke Skywalker, who is dropped in a heap before the speeder. The Sand People ransack the speeder, throwing parts and supplies in all directions. Suddenly they stop. Then everything is quiet for a few moments. A great howling moan is heard echoing throughout the canyon, which sends the Sand People fleeing in terror.
Ooh! That's
R2
about all
moves even
I could do.
tighter into the shadows as a slight swishing sound that frightened off the Sand People grows even closer until a shabby old desert rat of a man appears and leans over Luke. His ancient leathery face, cracked and weathered by exotic climates, is set off by dark, penetrating eyes with a scraggly white beard. Ben Kenobi squints his eyes as he scrutinizes the unconscious farm boy. R2 makes a slight sound, and Ben turns around to look right at him.
Weep, whoop, whoop. Hello there. Come here, my little friend. Don't be afraid.
R2 waddles over to where Luke lies crumpled in a heap and begins to whistle and beep his concerns.
Beep, boop, boop.
Ben puts his hand on Luke's forehead and begins to come around.
Don't worry, he'll be all right.
What happened?
Rest easy, son. You've had a busy day. You're fortunate you're still in one piece.
Ben Kenobi. Boy, am I glad to see you.
The Chundland wastes are not to be travelled lightly. Tell me, young Luke, what brings you out this far?
Oh, this little droid. I think he's searching for his former master. I've never seen such devotion in a droid before. There seems to be no stopping him. He claims to be the property of an Obi-Wan Kenobi. Is he a relative of yours? Do you know who he's talking about?
Ben ponders this for a moment, scratching his scruffy beard.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan. Now that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. A long time.
I think my uncle knew him. He said he was dead.
Oh, he's not dead. Not yet.
You know him?
Well, of course I know him. He's me. Oh, I haven't gone by the name Obi-Wan since, before you were born.
Then the droid does belong to you.
Don't seem to remember ever owning a droid. Very interesting.
He suddenly looks up at the overhanging cliffs.
Beep boop. Oh wait, I think we'd better get indoors. The Sand People are easily startled, but they will be back soon, and in greater numbers.
Luke sits up and rubs his head. R2 lets out a pathetic beep, causing Luke to remember something. He looks around.
Beep!
3PO!
Little R2 stands at the edge of a large sandpit and begins to chatter away in electronic whistles and beeps. Luke and Ben stand over a very dented and tangled 3PO, lying half buried in the sand. One of his arms is broken off. Luke tries to revive the inert robot by shaking him, and then flips a hidden switch on the back several times until finally the mechanical man systems turn on.
Where am I? I must have taken a bad step.
Can you stand? We've got to get out of here before the Sand People return.
I don't think I can make it. You go on, Master Luke. There's no sense in you risking yourself on my account. I'm done for.
R2 makes a beeping sound.
No, you're not. What
Beep,
kind of
boop,
talk
boop,
is that?
Beep boop boop beep.
Luke and Ben help the battered robot to his feet. Little R2 watches from the top of the pit. Ben glances around suspiciously, sensing something. He stands up and sniffs the air.
Quickly, son. They're on the move.
The small Spartan hovel is cluttered with desert junk, but still manages to radiate an air of time-worn comfort and security. Luke is in one corner repairing 3PO's arm, as old Ben sits thinking.
No, my father didn't fight in the wars. He was a navigator on a space freighter.
Spice. No, spice.
Spice.
It's
Actually spice. It's not a typo.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's the word for. It's like the catch-all word for drugs in this universe. Yeah.
They ripped off too.
Okay, he was a navigator on a spice freighter.
That's what your uncle told you. He didn't hold with your father's ideals. Thought he should have stayed here and not gotten involved.
You fought in the Clone Wars?
Yes, I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father.
I'd wish I'd known him.
He was the best star pilot in the galaxy and a cunning warrior. I understand you've become quite a good pilot yourself. And he was a good friend. Which reminds me.
Ben gets up and goes to a chest where he rummages around. As Luke finishes repairing 3PO and starts to fix the restraining bolt back on, 3PO looks at him nervously. Luke thinks about the bolt for a moment and then puts it on the table. Ben shuffles up and presents Luke with a short handle with the electronic gadgets attached to it.
I have something here for you. Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough, but your uncle wouldn't allow it. He feared you might follow old Obi-Wan on some damned fool idealistic crusade like your father did.
Sir, if you'll not be needing me, I'll close down for a while.
Sure, go ahead.
Ben hands Luke the saber.
What is it?
Your father's lightsaber. This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight, not as clumsy or random as a blaster.
Luke pushes the button on the handle. A long beam shoots out about 4 feet and flickers there. The light plays across the ceiling.
An elegant weapon for a more civilized age. For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic, before the Dark Times, before the Empire.
Luke hasn't really been listening.
How did my father die?
A young Jedi named Darth Vader, who was a pupil of mine until he turned to evil, helped the Empire hunt down and destroy the Jedi Knights. He betrayed and murdered your father. Now the Jedi are all but extinct. Vader was seduced by the dark side of the Force.
The Force?
Well, the Force is what gives a Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together. Beep, boop, boop, boop. Now let's see if we can't figure out what you are, my little friend, and where you come from.
I saw part of the message. He was.
Is cut short as a recorded image of the beautiful young rebel princess is projected from R2's face.
I seem to have found it.
Luke stops his work as a lovely girl's image flickers before his eyes.
General Kenobi, years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars. Now he begs you to help him in his struggle against the Empire. I regret that I am unable to present my father's request to you in person, but my ship has fallen under attack, and I'm afraid my mission to bring you back to Alderaan is failed. I have placed information vital to the survival of this rebellion into the memory systems of this R2 unit. My father will know how to retrieve it. You must see this droid safely delivered to him on Alderaan. This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
There is a little static and the transmission is cut short. Old Ben leans back and scratches his head. He silently puffs on a tarnished chrome water pipe. Luke has stars in his eyes.
You must learn the ways of the Force if you're to come with me to Alderaan.
Alderaan? I'm not going to Alderaan. I've got to go home. It's late. I'm in for it as it is.
I need your help, Luke. She needs your help. I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
I can't get involved. I've got work to do. It's not that I like the Empire. I hate it, but there's nothing I can do about it right now. It's such a long way from here.
That's your uncle talking.
Oh God, my uncle. How am I ever going to explain this?
Learn about the Force, Luke.
Look, I can take you as far as Anchorhead. You can get a transport there to Moss Eisley or wherever you're going.
You must do what you feel is right, of course.
An Imperial Star Destroyer heads towards the evil planet-like battle station, the Death Star.
All right. Do you want to be? I'll be Tag. You be, or I'll be Madi. You be Tag.
All right.
All right.
8 Imperial senators and generals sit around a black conference table. Imperial stormtroopers stand guard around the room. Commander Tag, a young, slimy-looking general, is speaking. Until this battle station is fully operational, we are vulnerable. The Rebel Alliance is well too equipped. They're more dangerous than you realize. The bitter Admiral Mahdi twists nervously in his chair.
Dangerous to your Starfleet commander, not to this battle station.
The rebellion will continue to gain a support in the Imperial Senate as long as... Suddenly, all heads turn to Commander Tag's speech is cut short, and the Grand Moff Tarkin, governor of the Imperial Outland regions, enters. He is followed by his powerful ally, the Sith Lord Darth Vader. All the generals stand and bow before the thin, evil-looking governor as he takes his place at the head of the table. The Dark Lord stands behind him.
The Imperial Senate will no longer be of any concern to us. I've just received word that the Emperor has dissolved the Council permanently. The last remnants of the old Republic have been swept away.
That's impossible. How will the Emperor maintain control without the bureaucracy?
The regional governors now have direct control over the territories. Fear will keep the local systems in line. Fear of this battle station.
And what of the rebellion? If the rebels have obtained a complete technical readout of this station, it is possible, however unlikely, that they might find a weakness and exploit it.
Lands you refer to will soon be back in our hands.
Any attack made by the rebels against this station would be a useless gesture. No matter what technical data they've obtained, this station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force.
Don't try to frighten us with your sorcerer's ways, Lord Vader. Your sad devotion to that ancient religion has not helped you conjure up the stolen data tapes or given you clairvoyance enough to find the rebels' hidden fortress. John? Someone?
Suddenly, Madi chokes and starts to turn blue under Vader's spell.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Enough of this, Vader. Release him.
As you wish.
This bickering is pointless. Lord Vader will provide us with the location of the rebel fortress by the time this station is operational. We will then crush the rebellion with one swift stroke.
The speeder stops before what remains of the huge Jawa's sandcrawler. Luke and Ben walk among the smoldering rubble and scattered bodies.
It looks like sand people did this, all right. Look, here are Goffy sticks, Bonta tracks. It's just, I never heard of them hitting anything this big before.
Ben is crouching in the sand studying the tracks.
They didn't, but we are meant to think that they did. These tracks are side by side. Sand people always ride single file to hide their numbers.
They're the same Jawas that sold us R2 and 3PO.
And these blast points, too accurate for sand people. Only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise.
Why would Imperial troops want to slaughter Jawas?
Luke looks back at the speeder where R2 and 3PO are inspecting the dead Jawas and putting two and two together.
If they trace the robots here, they may have learned who sold them to me, and that would lead them home.
Luke reaches a sudden, horrible realization, then races for the speeder and jumps it.
Wait, Luke, it's too dangerous.
Luke races off, leaving Ben and the two robots alone with the burning sandcrawler. Luke races across the wasteland in his battered land speeder. The speeder roars up to the burning homestead. Luke jumps out and runs to the smoking holes that were once his home. Debris is scattered everywhere, and it looks as if a great battle has taken place.
Uncle Owen! Aunt Beru! Uncle Owen!
Luke stumbles around in a daze looking for his aunt and uncle. Suddenly he comes upon their smoldering remains. He is stunned and cannot speak. Hate replaces fear, and a new resolve comes over him. Imperial TIE fighters race towards the Death Star. Two stormtroopers open an electrical cell door and allow several Imperial guards to enter. Princess Leia's face is filled with defiance, which slowly gives way to fear as a giant black portrait robot enters, followed by Darth Vader.
And now, Your Highness, we will discuss the location of the hidden rebel base.
Portrait robot gives off a steady beeping sound as it approaches Princess Leia and extends one of its mechanical arms bearing a large hypodermic needle. The door slides shut and the long cell block hallway appears peaceful. The muffled screams of the rebel princess are barely heard.
Ah!
There is a large bonfire of Jawa's bodies blazing in front of the sandcrawler as Ben and the robots finish burning the dead. Luke drives up in the speeder and Ben walks over to him.
There's nothing you could have done, Luke. Had you been there, you would have been killed too, and the droids would be in the hands of the Empire.
I want to come with you to Alderaan. There's nothing here for me now. I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father.
The land speeder with Luke, R2, 3PO, and Ben in it zooms across the desert. The speeder stops on a bluff overlooking the spaceport at Mos Eisley. It is a haphazard array of low-grade concrete structures and semi-domes. A harsh gale blows across the stark canyon floor. Luke adjusts his goggles and walks to the edge of the craggy bluff where Ben is standing.
Mos Eisley Spaceport, you will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
Ben looks over at Luke, who gives the old Jedi a determined smile. The speeder is stopped on a crowded street by several combat-hardened stormtroopers who look over at the two robots. A trooper questions Luke.
How long have you had these droids?
About 3 or 4.
They're on sale if you want them. Let me see your identification.
Luke becomes very nervous as he fumbles to find his ID while Ben speaks to the trooper in a very controlled voice.
You don't need to see his identification. We don't need to see his identification. These are not the droids you're looking for. These are not the droids we're looking for. He can go about his business. You can go about your business. Move along. Move along. Move along. End scene.
Speeder
Not
speeder
often
pulls
I
up.
get to act against myself.
The speeder pulls up in front of rundown blockhouse cantina on the outskirts of the spaceport. Various strange forms of transport, including several unusual beasts of burden, are parked outside the bar. A Jawa runs up and begins to fondle the speeder.
Utini,
I can't abide these Jawas, disgusting creatures.
As Luke gets out of the speeder, he tries to shoo the Jawa away.
Go on, go on. I can't understand how it got by those troops. I thought we were dead.
the Force can have a strong influence on the weak-minded. You will find it a powerful ally.
Do you really think we're going to find a pilot here that'll take us to Alderaan?
Well, most of the best freighter pilots can be found here. Only watch your step. This place can be a little rough.
I'm ready for anything.
Come along, R2.
The young adventurer and his two mechanical servants follow Ben Kenobi into the smoke-filled cantina. The murky, moldy den is filled with a startling array of weird and exotic alien creatures and monsters at the long metallic bar. At first, the sight is horrifying. One-eyed, thousand-eyed, slimy, furry, scaly, tentacled, and clawed creatures huddle over drinks. Ben moves to an empty spot at the bar near a group of repulsive but human scum. A huge, rough-looking bartender stops Luke and the robots.
We don't,
don't
serve
serve
their
your
kind here. Well, who stole my line?
Let me do it.
All right, he wants to do it. Let him do it. Let him do it.
We don't serve the kind here.
Luke, still recovering from the shock of seeing so many outlandish creatures, doesn't quite catch the bartender's drift.
What?
Your droids. Let the wait outside. We don't want them here.
That was perfect. Holy shit, Maxwell. You know what? You're right. You absolutely, yeah, that was perfect. Good job.
Thank you.
Luke looks at old Ben, who is busy talking to one of the galactic pirates. He notices several of the gruesome creatures along the bar giving him a very unfriendly glare. Luke pats 3PO on the shoulder.
Listen, why don't you wait out by the speeder? We don't want any trouble.
I heartily agree with you, sir.
3PO and his stubby partner go outside, and most of the creatures at the bar go back to their drinks. Ben is standing next to Chewbacca, an 8-foot-tall, savage-looking creature resembling a huge gray bush baby monkey with fierce baboon-like fangs. His large blue eyes dominate a fur-covered face and soften his otherwise awesome appearance. Over his masted furry body wears... Oh, sorry.
You all right there? You want me to take this? I got it.
I need a drink. Take over.
All right, cool. Over his matted furry body, he wears 2 chrome bandoliers and little else. You know he's got it going on. He is a 200-year-old Wookiee and a sight to behold. Ben speaks to the Wookiee, pointing to Luke several times during his conversation, and the huge creature suddenly lets out a horrifying laugh. Ha, ha, ha. Luke is more than a little bit disconcerted and pretends not to hear the conversation between Ben and the giant Wookiee. Luke is terrified but tries not to show it. He quietly sips his drink, looking over the crowd for a more sympathetic ear or whatever. A large, multiple-eyed creature gives Luke a rough shove. Negola Dewagi will dugger. The hideous freak is obviously drunk. Luke tries to ignore the creature and turns back on his drink. A short, grubby human and an even smaller rodent-like beast join the belligerent monstrosity.
Hold on.
You
He
won't-
doesn't like you.
I'm sorry.
I don't like you either.
The big creature is getting agitated and yells out some unintelligible gibberish at the now rather nervous young adventurer.
Don't insult us. You just watch yourself. We're wanted men. I have the death sentence on 12 systems.
I'll be careful then.
You'll be dead.
All right, I'm back. Sorry.
All right, cool. You're good. You're good.
The rodent lets out a loud grunt and everything at the bar moves away. Luke tries to remain cool, but it isn't easy. His three adversaries ready their weapons. Old Ben moves in behind Luke.
Was that me? Oh shit, I'm sorry. This little one isn't worth the effort. Come, let me buy you something.
A powerful blow from the unpleasant creature sends the young would-be Jedi sailing across the room, crashing through tables and breaking a large jug filled with a foul-looking liquid. With a blood-curdling shriek, the monster draws a wicked chrome laser pistol from his belt and levels it at old Ben. The bartender panics.
Max? Max, did you want the bartender?
No blasters. No blasters.
With astounding agility, old Ben's laser sword sparks to life in a flash, and an arm lies on the floor. The rodent is cut in two, and the giant multiple-eyed creature lies doubled, cut from chin to groin.
Oh,
Ben
Jesus
Care-
Christ. Oh my god. Wait, what? All right, this
I
is
think they
different
had
than
to
in the
tune
last
down
movie.
the movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, in the movie they only chop off his arm. And I think they kind of slash the human guy, but yeah, whatever. Keep going.
Ben carefully and precisely turns off his laser sword and replaces it on his utility belt. Luke, shaking and totally amazed at the old man's abilities, attempts to stand. The entire fight has lasted only a matter of seconds. The container goes back to normal, although Ben is given a respectable amount of room at the bar. Luke, rubbing his bruised head, approaches the old man with new awe. Ben points to the wiki.
This is Chewbacca. He's first mate on a ship that might suit our needs.
3PO paces in front of the canteen as R2 carries on an electronic conversation with another little red astro droid. A creature comes out of the canteen and approaches two stormtroopers in the street.
I don't like the look of this.
Strange creatures play exotic big band music on odd-looking instruments as Luke, still giddy, downs a fresh drink and follows Ben and Chewbacca to a booth where Han Solo is sitting. Han is a tough, roguish star pilot about 30 years old, a mercenary on a starship. He is simple, sentimental, and cocksure.
Wait, let me do the music real quick. All right, keep going.
Han Solo. I'm captain of the Millennium Falcon. Chewie here tells me you're looking for passage to the Alderaan system.
Yes, indeed, if it's a fast ship.
Fast ship. You've never heard of the Millennium Falcon?
Should I have?
It's the ship that ran the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
Ben reacts to Solo's stupid attempt to impress him with obvious misinformation.
I've outrun Imperial starships, not the local bulk cruisers, mind you. I'm talking about the big Corellian ships now. She's fast enough for you, old man. What's the cargo?
Only passengers, myself, the boy, 2 droids, and no questions asked.
What is it, some kind of trouble?
Let's just say we'd like to avoid any Imperial entanglements.
Well, that's the trick, isn't it? And it's going to cost you something extra. 10,000 in advance.
Oh my god, Maxwell, can we just oh my god, Maxwell, you're so good. Your impression is have you been waiting all week for this?
No, well, yes, but I haven't been practicing. This is cool.
Have you been practicing your whole fucking life, dude? Wow. I knew you were excited about this, but holy shit, you've been
Yeah,
practicing a lot. Wow. It's really
thank
good.
you.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. Everyone, keep going. Yes.
10,000. We could almost buy our own.
But who's gonna fly it, kid? You?
You bet I could. I'm not such a bad pilot myself. We don't have to sit here and listen.
We haven't that much with us, but we could pay you 2,000 now plus 15 when we reach Alderaan.
17, huh?
Han ponders this for a few moments.
Okay. You guys got yourself a ship. We'll leave as soon as you're ready. Docking Bay 94.
94.
Looks like somebody's beginning to take an interest in your handiwork.
Ben and Luke turn around to see 4 Imperial stormtroopers looking at the dead bodies and asking the bartender some question. The bartender points to the booth.
All right, we'll check it out.
The stormtroopers look over at the booth, and Luke and Ben are gone. The bartender shrugs his shoulders in puzzlement.
17,000. Those guys must really be desperate. This could really save my neck. Get back to the ship and get her ready.
You'll have to sell your speeder.
That's okay. I'm never coming to this planet again.
As Han is about to leave, Greedo, a slimy green-faced alien with a short trunk nose, pokes a gun in his side. The creature speaks in a foreign language translated into English subtitles.
Aw, shit. I don't know what voice I'm just gonna say McClunky for every one of his lines. Okay?
Alright.
McClunky.
Yes, Greedo. As a matter of fact, I was going to see your boss. Tell Jabba that I've got his money.
McClunky, 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 McClunky. Oh, shit. I stepped over your line, Jen. I'm sorry.
Han steps down, and the alien sits across him from holding the gun on it.
Here, I'll try it again. McClunky, 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 McClunky.
Yeah, but this time I got the money.
McClunky, McClunky.
I don't have it with me. Tell Jabba.
McClunky, McClunky, McClunky. McClunky.
Even if I get bored at sometimes, do you think I had a choice?
Han slowly reaches for his gun under the table.
McClunky, ma. Clunky, McClunky, ma. Clunky.
Over my dead body.
McClunky, McClunky.
Yes, I bet you have.
McClunky.
Suddenly, the slimy alien disappears in a blinding flash of light. Han pulls his smoking gun from beneath the table, and the other patrons look on in bemused amazement. Han gets up and starts out of the cantina, flipping the bartender some coins as he leaves.
Sorry about the mess.
Several TIE fighters approach the Death Star.
Her resistance to the mind probe is considerable. It'll be some time before we can extract any information from her.
An Imperial officer interrupts the meeting.
The final checkout is complete. All systems are operational. What course shall we set? Perhaps she would respond to an alternative form of persuasion.
What do you mean?
I think it is time we demonstrate the full power of this station. Set your course for Princess Leia's home planet of Alderaan. With pleasure.
4 heavily armed stormtroopers move menacingly along a narrow slum alleyway crowded with darkly clad creatures hawking exotic goods in the dingy little stalls. Men, monsters, and robots crouch in the waste-filled doorways, whispering and hiding from the hot winds.
Lock the door, R2.
One of the troopers checks a tightly locked door and moves on down the alleyway. The door slides open a crack and 3PO peeks out. R2 is barely visible in the background.
Alright, check that side of the street.
That's
It's
trooper.
secure.
That's a trooper.
Whoops.
All right, check that side of the street. It's secure. Move on to the next door.
The door opens. 3PO moves into the doorway.
I would much rather have gone with Master Luke than stay here with you. I don't know what all the trouble is about, but I'm sure it must be your fault.
Beep boop boop beep boop boop.
You watch your language.
Ben and Luke are standing in a sleazy used speeder lot, talking with a tall, grotesque insect-like used speeder dealer. Strange exotic bodies and spinally legged beasts pass by as the insect concludes that the sale by giving Luke some coins.
He says it's the best he can do since the XP-38 came out. They're just not in demand.
It will be enough.
Ed and Luke leave the speeder lot and walk down the dusty alleyway past a small robot herding a bunch of anteater-like creatures. Luke turns and gives one last forlorn coin at his faithful speeder as he rounds a corner. A darkly clad creature moves out of the shadows as they pass and watch them as they disappear down another alley.
If the ship's as fast as he's boasting, we ought to do well.
Jabba the Hutt and a half-dozen grisly alien pirates and purple creatures stand in the middle of a docking bay. Jabba is the grossest of the slavering hulks, and his scarred face is a grim testimonial to his prowess as a vicious killer. He is a fat, slug-like creature with eyes on extended feelers and a huge, ugly mouth.
Unkara funky solo.
A voice from directly behind the pirates startles them, and they turn around to see Han Solo and the giant Wookiee Chewbacca standing behind them with no weapons in sight.
I've been waiting for you, Jabba.
Tuba, tuba.
I'm not the type to run.
Takubi tabakuda.
You sent Greedo to blast me.
Ujabadu solo.
I think that he was. Next time, don't send one of those twerps. If you've got something to say to me, come see me yourself.
An, Okajabudu kadubajidabo.
You know, even I get bored sometimes, Jabba. I had no choice. But I got a charter now, and I can pay you back, plus a little extra. I'll just need some more time.
Chubakudo an aguduba jigabubu. Itabujudu baba gugu baba. I was making
Jabba?
baby noises now.
Jabba, you're a wonderful human being.
Thank you. Oh my god, that is the correct line. Good job, Maxwell.
Thank you.
Your knowledge of this movie frightens even me.
Nice.
All right, go ahead.
Chewbacca waits restlessly at the entrance to the docking bay 94. Ben, Luke, and the robots make their way up the street. Chewbacca jabbers excitedly and signals them for them to hurry. The darkly clad creature has followed them from the speeder lot. He stops in a nearby doorway and speaks in a small transmitter.
Womp, womp, weep, womp, weep, whoop. Go ahead.
Chewbacca leads the group into a giant dirt pit that is docking bay 94. Resting in the middle of the huge hole is a large, round, beat-up, pieced-together hunk of junk that could only loosely be called a starship.
What a piece of junk.
The tall figure of Han Solo comes down the boarding ramp.
She'll make 0.5 beyond the speed of light. She may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts, kid. I've added some special modifications myself.
Luke scratches his head. It's obvious he isn't sure about all this. Chewbacca rushes up the ramp and urges the others to follow.
We're a little rushed, so you'll hurry aboard and we'll get out of here.
The group rushes up the gangplank, passing a grinning Han Solo. Chewbacca settles into the pilot's chair and starts the mighty engines of the starship. Luke, Ben, 3PO, and R2 move towards the Millennium Falcon, passing Solo.
Hello, sir.
8 Imperial stormtroopers rush up to the darkly clad creature.
Which way?
The darkly clad creature points to the door of the docking bay.
All right, men, load your weapons.
The troops hold their guns at the ready and charge down the docking bay entrance.
Stop that ship!
Han Solo looks up and sees the Imperial stormtroopers rushing into the docking bay. Several of those troopers fire at Han as he ducks into the spaceship.
Pew, 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 pew. Blast them.
Han draws his laser pistol and pops off a couple of shots which force the stormtroopers to dive for safety. The pirate ship engines whine as Han hits the release button that slams the overhead entry shut.
Huey, get us out of here.
The group straps in for takeoff.
Oh my, I'd forgotten how much I hate space travel.
A half dozen stormtroopers at the checkpoint hear the general alarm and look to the sky as the huge starship rises above the dingy slum dwellings and quickly disappears into the morning sky. Han climbs into the pilot's chair next to Chewbacca, who chatters away as he points to something on the radar scope. The Corellian pirate ship zooms from Tatooine into space.
Still
Han
you, John.
frantically
Yeah.
types information into the ship's computer. Little R2 appears momentarily at the cockpit doorway, makes a few beeping remarks, and then scurries away.
Looked like an Imperial cruiser. Our passengers must have been hotter than I thought. Try to hold them off. Angle the deflector shields while I make the calculations for the jump to light speed.
Millennium Falcon pirate ship races away from the yellow planet Tatooine. It is followed by two huge Imperial Star Destroyers. Over the shoulders of Chewbacca and Han, we can see the galaxy spread before them. Luke and Ben make their way into the cramped cockpit where Han continues his calculation.
Stay sharp. There are two more coming in. They're gonna try and cut us off.
Why don't you outrun them? I thought you said this thing was fast.
Watch your mouth, kid, or you're going to find yourself floating home. We'll be safe enough once we make the jump to hyperspace. Besides, I know a few maneuvers. We'll lose them.
Imperial cruisers fire at the pirate ship. The ship shudders as an explosion flashes outside the window.
Here's where the fun begins.
How long before you can make the jump to light speed?
It'll take a few moments to get the coordinates from the Navi computer.
The ship begins to rock violently as lasers hit it.
Are you kidding? At the rate they're gaining.
Traveling through hyperspace isn't like dusting crops, boy. Without precise calculations, we could fly right through a star, or bounce too close to a supernova, and that'd end your trip real quick, wouldn't it?
The ship is now constantly battered with laser fire as a red warning light begins to flash.
What's that flashing?
We're losing our deflector shields. Go strap yourself in. I'm going to make the jump to light speed.
The galaxy brightens and they move faster, almost as if crashing a barrier. Stars become streaks as the pirate ship makes a jump to hyperspace. The Millennium Falcon zooms into infinity in less than a second. Alderaan looms behind the Death Star battle station. Admiral
Mahdi.
enters the quiet room and bows before Governor Tarkin, who stands before the huge wall screen displaying a small green planet.
We've entered the Alderaan system.
Vader and two stormtroopers enter with Princess Leia. Her hands are bound.
Governor Tarkin, I should have expected to find you holding Vader's leash. I recognized your foul stench when I was brought on board. Ha ha, Carrie Fisher, I can deliver that line without a British accent. I can. I did it. That's a joke. You guys might not get it, but I get it.
Nice.
Yay! Charming to the last. You don't know how hard I found it signing the order to terminate your life. I'm surprised you had the courage to take the responsibility yourself. Princess Leia, before your execution, I would like you to be my guest at a ceremony that will make this battle station operational. No star system will dare oppose the Emperor now. The more you tighten your grip, Tarkin, the more star systems will slip through your fingers. Not after we demonstrate the power of this station. In a way, you have determined the choice of the planet that will be destroyed first. Since you are reluctant to provide us with the location of the rebel base, I have chosen to test this system's destructive power on your home planet of Alderaan. No, Alderaan is peaceful. We have no weapons. You can't possibly. You would prefer another target, a military target? Then name the system.
Tarkin waves menacingly towards Leia.
I grow tired of asking this, so it'll be the last time. Where is the rebel base?
Leia overhears an intercom voice announcing the approach to Alderaan.
Dantooine.
Leia lowers her head.
They're on Dantooine. There, you see, Lord Vader, she can be reasonable. Continue with the operation. You may fire when ready. What? You're far too trusting. Dantooine is too remote to make an effective demonstration. But don't worry, we will deal with your rebel friends soon enough. No!
Immense primary ignition.
A button is pressed, which switches on a panel of lights. A hooded Imperial soldier reaches over it and pulls a lever. Another lever is pulled. Vader reaches for still another lever, and a bank of lights on a panel and wall light up. A huge beam of light emanates from within a cone-shaped area and converges into a single laser beam toward Alderaan. The small green planet of Alderaan is blown into space dust.
Does that?
Ben watches Luke practice a lightsaber with a small seeker robot. Ben suddenly turns away and sits down. He falters, seems almost faint.
Are you all right? What's wrong?
I felt a great disturbance in the Force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. I fear something terrible has happened.
Ben rubs his forehead. He seems to drift into a trance. Then he fixes his gaze on Luke.
You'd better get on with your exercises.
Han Solo enters the room.
Well, you can forget your troubles with those Imperial slugs. I told you I'd outrun them.
Luke is once again practicing with the lightsaber.
Don't everyone thank me at once.
3PO watches Chewbacca and R2, who are engrossed in a game in which three-dimensional holographic figures move along a chess-type board.
Anyway, we should be at Alderaan about 200 hours.
Chewbacca and the two robots sit around the lighted table covered with small holographic monsters. Each side of the table has a small computer monitor embedded in it. Chewbacca seemed very pleased with himself as he rests his lanky, fur-covered arms over his head.
Now be careful, R2.
R2 immediately reaches up and taps the computer with his stubby claw hand, causing one of the holographic creatures to walk to the new square. A sudden frown crosses Chewbacca's face and he begins yelling gibberish at the tiny robot. 3PO intercedes on behalf of his small companion and begins to argue with the huge Wookiee.
Made a fair move. Screaming about it won't help you.
Let him have it. It's not wise to upset a Wookiee.
Sir, nobody worries about upsetting a droid.
That's 'cause droids don't pull people's arms out of their sockets when they lose. Wookiees are known to do that.
3PO. 3PO? Come in, 3PO. Andrew. Andrew, are you there?
Uh-oh.
Is he dead?
He might be.
Uh-oh. Andrew.
That or like...
Andrew. Can you hear me? Please. Please. Hang on. Don't go to the light. Alright, I'll do it. I see your point, sir. I suggest a new strategy, R2. Let the Wookiee win.
Luke stands in the middle of a small hold area. He seems frozen in place. A humming lightsaber is held over his head. Ben watches him from the corner, studying his movements. Han watches with a bit of smugness.
Remember, a Jedi can feel the Force flowing through him.
You mean it controls your actions?
Partially, but it also obeys your commands.
Suspended at eye level, about 10 feet in front of Luke, a Seeker, a chrome baseball-like robot carved with antennae, hovers slowly in a wide arc. The ball floats to one side of the youth, then the other. Suddenly, it makes a lightning-swift lunge and stops within a few feet of Luke's face. Luke doesn't move and the ball backs off. It slowly moves behind the boy, then makes another quick lunge, this time emitting a blood-red laser beam as it attacks. It hits Luke in the leg, causing him to tumble over. Han lets loose with a burst of laughter.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
You don't believe in the Force, do you?
Kid, I've flown from one side of this galaxy to another. I've seen a lot of strange stuff, but I've never seen anything to make me believe there's one all powerful force controlling everything. There's no mystical energy field that controls my destiny.
Ben smiles quietly.
It's a lot of simple tricks and nonsense.
I suggest you try it again, Luke.
Ben places a large helmet on Luke's head, which covers his eyes.
This time, let go your conscious self and act on instinct.
With the blast shield down, I can't even see. How am I supposed to fight?
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
Han skeptically shakes his head as Ben throws his seeker into the air. The ball shoots straight up in the air, then drops like a rock. Luke swings a lightsaber around blindly, missing the seeker, which fires off a laser bolt, which hits Luke square on the seat of his pants. He lets out a painful yell and attempts to hit the seeker.
Stretch out with your feelings.
Luke stands in one place, seemingly frozen. The seeker makes a dive at Luke and, incredibly, he manages to deflect the bolt. A ball ceases fire and moves back to its original position.
You see, you can do it.
I call it luck.
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
Look, going good against remotes is one thing. Going good against the living, that's something else.
Solo notices a small light flashing on the far side of the control panel.
Looks like we're coming up on Alderaan.
Han and Chewbacca head back to the cockpit.
You know, I did feel something. I could almost see the remote.
That's good. You have taken your first step into a larger world.
Imperial officer Cass stands behind Governor Tarkin and the evil Dark Lord Darth Vader.
Yes.
Who's Cass?
I'll guess I'll do that one. Our scout ships have reached Dantooine. They found the remains of a rebel base, but they estimate it has been deserted for some time. They are now conducting an extensive search of the surrounding systems. She lied. She lied to us.
I told you she would never consciously betray the rebellion.
Terminate her immediately.
The pirate ship is just coming out of hyperspace. A strange, surreal light show surrounds the ship.
Stand by, Chewie. Here we go. Cut in the sublight engines.
Han pulls back on a control lever. Outside the cockpit window, stars begin streaking past, seem to decrease in speed, then stop. Suddenly, the starship begins to shudder and violently shake about. Asteroids begin to race towards them, battering the sides of the ship.
What the? Aw, we've come out of hyperspace into a meteor shower. Some kind of asteroid collision. It's not on any of the charts.
Wookiee flips off several controls and seems very cool in the emergency. Luke makes his way into the bouncing cockpit.
What's going on?
Our position is correct, except no Alderaan.
You is it?
That's what I'm trying to tell you, kid. It ain't here. It ain't there. It's been totally blown away.
What? How?
Ben moves into the cockpit behind Luke as the ship begins to settle down.
Destroyed by the Empire.
The entire Starfleet couldn't destroy the whole planet. It'd take 1,000 ships with more firepower than I've.
A signal starts flashing on the control panel and a muffled alarm starts humming.
There's another ship coming in.
Maybe they know what happened.
It's an Imperial fighter.
Chewbacca barks his concern. A huge explosion bursts outside the cockpit window, shaking the ship violently. A tiny finned Imperial TIE fighter races past the cockpit.
It followed us.
No, it's a short-range fighter.
There aren't any bases around here. Where'd it come from?
Fighter races past a Corellian pirate ship.
It sure is leaving in a big hurry. If they identify us, we're in big trouble.
Not if I can help it. Chewie, jam its transmissions.
It'd be as well to let it go. It's too far out of range.
Not for long.
Pirate ship zooms over to the camera and away into the vastness of space after the Imperial TIE fighter. The tension mounts as the pirate ship gains on the tiny fighter. In the distance, one of the stars becomes brighter until it's obvious that the TIE ship is heading for it. Ben stands behind Chewbacca.
A fighter that size couldn't get this deep into space on its own.
It must have gotten lost. Been part of a convoy or something.
Well, he ain't gonna be around long enough to tell anyone about us.
The TIE fighter is losing ground to the larger pirate ship as they race towards Cameron and disappear overhead. The distant star can be distinguished as a small moon or planet.
Look at him. He's heading for that small moon.
I think I can get him before he gets there. He's almost in range.
The small moons begin to take on appearance of a monstrous spherical battle station.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
It's too big to be a space station.
I have a very bad feeling about this.
Yeah, I think you're right. Full reverse. Chewie, lock in the auxiliary power.
Pirate ship shudders and the TIE fighter accelerates away from the gargantuan battle station.
Why are we still moving towards it?
We're caught in a tractor beam. It's pulling us in.
There's got to be something you can do.
There's nothing I can do about it, kid. I'm in full power. I'm gonna have to shut down, but they're not going to get me without a fight.
Ben Kenobi puts a hand on his shoulder.
You can't win, but there are alternatives to fighting.
As the battered pirate starship is towed closer to the awesome metal moon, the immense size of the massive battle station becomes staggering. Running along the equator of the gigantic sphere is a mile-high band of huge docking ports, into which the helpless pirate ship is dragged. The helpless Millennium Falcon is pulled past a docking port control room and huge laser turret cannons. Clear Bay 23-7. We are opening the magnetic field. The pirate ship is pulled in through port doors of the dome of the Death Star, coming to rest in a huge hangar. 30 stormtroopers stand at attention in this central assembly area.
To you, stations. Come with me.
Stormtroopers run to their posts. A line of stormtroopers march toward the pirate ship in readiness to board it, while other troopers stand with weapons ready to fire.
Close all outboard shields. Close all outboard shields.
Tarkin pushes a button in response to the intercom buzz.
Yes. We've captured a freighter entering the remains of the Alderaan system. Its markings match those of a ship that blasted its way out of Mos Eisley.
They must be trying to return the stolen plans to the princess. She may yet be of some use to us.
Vader and a commander approach the troops as an officer. Several heavily armed soldiers exit the spacecraft.
Unlock 1, 5, 7, and 9. Release charges. There's no one on board, sir. According to the log, the crew abandoned ship right after takeoff. It must be a decoy, sir. Several of the escape pods have been jettisoned.
Did you find any droids?
No, sir. If there were any on board, they must have also jettisoned.
Send a scanning crew on board. I want every part of the ship checked.
Yes, sir.
I sense something. A presence I haven't felt since.
Vader turns quickly and exits the hangar.
Get me a scanning crew in here on the double. I want every part of this ship checked.
A trooper runs through the hallway, heading for the exit. In a few moments, all is quiet. The muffled sounds of a distant officer giving orders finally fade. 2 floor panels suddenly pop up, revealing Han Solo and Luke. Ben Kenobi sticks his head out of a third locker.
Boy, it's lucky you had these compartments.
I use them for smuggling. I never thought I'd be smuggling myself in with them. This is ridiculous. Even if I could take off, I'd never get past the tractor beam.
Leave that to me.
Damn fool. I knew you were going to say that.
Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?
Han shakes his head, muttering to himself. Chewbacca agrees. The crewmen carry a heavy box on board the ship, past the 2 stormtroopers guarding either side of the ramp.
The ship's all yours. If the scanners pick up anything, report it immediately. All right, let's go.
The crewmen enter the pirate ship, and a loud crashing sound is followed by a voice calling to the guard below.
Hey down there. Could you give us a hand with this?
The stormtroopers enter the ship, and a quick round of gunfire is heard. In
Pew.
a very small command.
Go ahead. I just said pew.
In a very small command office near the entrance to the pirate ship, a gantry officer looks out his window and notices the guards are missing. He speaks into the comm link.
TX412, why aren't you at your post? TX412, do you copy? I just decided I'd give him an accent.
A stormtrooper comes down the ramp of the pirate ship and waves to the gantry officer, pointing to his ear indicating his comlink is not working. The gantry officer shakes his head in disgust and heads for the door, giving his aide an annoyed look.
Take over. We've got a bad transmitter. I'll see what I can do.
As the officer approaches the door, it slides open, revealing the towering Chewbacca. The gantry officer, in a momentary state of shock, stumbles backwards with a bone-chilling howl. The giant Wookiee flattens the officer with one blow. The aide immediately reaches for his pistol, but is blasted by Han, dressed as an Imperial stormtrooper. Ben and the robot enters the room quickly, followed by Luke, also dressed as a stormtrooper. Luke quickly removes his helmet.
Luke,
You know, between howling and your blasting everything in sight, it's a wonder the station doesn't know we're here.
Bring them on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
We found the computer outlet, sir.
Ben feeds some information into the computer and a map of the city appears on the monitor. He begins to inspect it carefully. 3PO and R2 look over the control panel. R2 finds something that makes him whistle wildly.
weep whoop, weep whoop, weep whoop. Plug in. He should be able to interpret the entire Imperial computer network.
R2 punches his claw arm into the computer socket, and the vast Imperial brain network comes to life, feeding information to the little robot. After a few moments, he beeps something.
Weep whoop, weep whoop, weep whoop, weep whoop.
He says he's found the main computer to power the tractor beam that's holding the ship here. He'll try to make the precise location appear on the monitor.
The computer monitor flashes readouts.
The tractor beam is coupled to the main reactor in 7 locations. A power loss at one of the terminals will allow the ship to leave.
Ben studies the data on his monitor readout.
I don't think you boys can help. I must go alone.
Whatever you say. I've done more than I bargained for on this trip already.
I want to go with you.
Be patient, Luke. Stay and watch over the droids.
But he can.
They must be delivered safely, or other star systems will suffer the same fate as Alderaan. Your destiny lies along a different path than mine. The Force will be with you. Always.
Wait, crap, I lost. Okay. Ben adjusts the lightsaber on his belt and silently steps out of the command office, then disappears down a long gray hallway. Chewbacca barks a comment and Han shakes his head in agreement.
Woof.
Boy, you said it, Chewie.
Han looks at Luke.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Ben is a great man.
Yeah, great at getting us into trouble.
I didn't hear you give any ideas.
Well, anything will be better than just hanging around waiting for him to pick us up.
What do you think?
Suddenly, R2 begins to whistle and beep a blue streak. Luke goes over to him.
Weep 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 boop weep boop weep 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 boop boop weep weep boop boop weep boop.
What is it?
I'm afraid I'm not quite sure, sir. He keeps saying, I've found her, and keeps repeating, she's here.
Well, who? Who has he found?
Weep
R2
boop boop weep
whispers-
boop weep boop boop boop.
Princess Leia.
The princess? She's here?
Princess, what's going on?
Level 5, Detention Block A, A23. I'm afraid she's scheduled to be terminated.
Oh no, we gotta do something.
What are you talking about?
The droids belong to her. She's the one in the message. We've gotta help her.
Now look, don't get any funny ideas. The old man wants us to wait right here.
But he didn't know she was here. Look, will you just find a way into the detention block?
I'm not going anywhere.
They're gonna execute her. Look, a few minutes ago you said you didn't want to just wait here to be captured. Now all you want to do is stay.
Marching into the detention area is not what I had in mind.
But they're gonna kill her.
Better her than me.
She's rich.
Chewbacca growls.
Rich?
Yes, rich, powerful. Listen, if you were to rescue her, the reward would be,
What?
well, more wealth than you can imagine.
I don't know. I can imagine quite a bit.
You'll get it.
I better.
You will.
All right, kid. But you better be right about this.
Han looks at Chewie, who grunts a short grunt.
All right.
What's your plan?
3PO, hand me those binders, will you?
Luke moves towards Chewbacca with electronic cuffs.
Okay, now I'm gonna put these on you.
Chewie lets out a hideous growl.
Okay, Han, you put these on.
Luke sheepishly hands the binders to Han.
Don't worry, Chewie. I think I know what he has in mind.
The Wookiee has a worried and frightened look on his face as Han binds him in the electronic cuffs.
Master Luke, sir, pardon me for asking, but what should R2 and I do if we're discovered here?
Lock the door.
And hope they don't have blasters.
That isn't very reassuring.
Luke and Han put on their armored stormtrooper helmets and start off into the giant Imperial Death Star. Han and Luke try to look inconspicuous in their armored suits as they wait for a vacuum elevator to arrive. Troops, bureaucrats, and robots bustle about, ignoring the trio completely. Only a few give the giant Wookiee a curious glance. Finally, a small elevator arrives and the trio enters.
I can't see a thing in this helmet.
A bureaucrat races to get aboard also, but is signaled away by Han. The door to the pod-like vehicle slides closed and the elevator car takes off through the vacuum tube. Several Imperial officers walk through the wide main passageway. They pass several stormtroopers and a robot similar to 3PO but with an insect face. At the far end of the hallway, a passing flash of Ben Kenobi appears, then disappears on a small hallway. His appearance is so fleeting that it is hard to tell if he is real or just an illusion. No one in the hallway seems to notice him. Luke and Han step forward to exit the elevator, but the door slides open behind them. The giant Wookiee and his two guards enter the old gray security station. Guards and laser gates are everywhere. Han whispers to Luke under his breath.
This is not going to work.
Why didn't you say so before?
I did say so before.
Elevator doors open. A tall, grimacing officer approaches the trio.
Where are you taking this thing?
Chewie growls a bit at the remark, but Han nudges him to shut up.
Prisoner transfer from block 1138.
I wasn't notified. I'll have to clear it.
The officer goes back to his console and begins to punch in the information. There are only 3 other troopers in the area. Luke and Han survey the situation, checking all the alarms, laser gates, and camera eyes. Han unfastens one of Chewbacca's electronic cuffs and shrugs to Luke. Suddenly, Chewbacca throws up his hands and lets out one of his ear-piercing howls. He grabs Han's laser rifle.
Look out, he's loose.
He's gonna pull us all apart.
Go get him.
Startled guards are momentarily dumbfounded. Luke and Han already have pulled out their laser pistols and are blasting away at the terrifying Wookiee. Their barrage of laser fire misses Chewbacca but hits the camera eyes, laser gate controls, and the Imperial guards. The officer is the last of the guards to fall into the laser fire, just as he is about to push the alarm system. Han rushes to the comlink system, which is screeching questions about what is going on. He quickly checks the computer readout.
We've got to find out which cell this princess of yours is in. Here it is, cell 2187. You go get her. I'll hold them here.
Luke races down one of the cell corridors. Han speaks into the buzzing comlink.
Everything is under control. Situation normal.
What happened?
Had a slight weapons malfunction, but everything's perfectly all right. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
We're sending a squad up.
Negative. We had a reactor leak here now. Give us a few minutes to lock it down. Large leak. Very dangerous.
Who is this? What's your operating number?
Han blasts a comlink and explodes.
Boring conversation anyway. Luke, we're gonna have company.
Luke stops in front of one of the cells and blasts the door away with a laser pistol. When the smoke clears, Luke sees a dazzling young princess senator. She has been sleeping and is now facing at him with an uncomprehending look on her face. Luke is stunned by her incredible beauty and stands staring at her with his mouth hanging open.
Aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper?
Luke, wait.
Luke takes off his helmet, coming out of it.
Oh, what? Oh, the uniform. I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
You're who?
I'm here to rescue you. I've got your R2 unit. I'm here with Ben Kenobi.
Ben Kenobi's here. Where is he?
Come on.
Darth Vader paces the room as the Governor Tarkin sits at the far end of the conference table.
He is here.
Obi-Wan Kenobi? What makes you think so?
A tremor in the Force. The last time I felt it in the presence of my old master.
Surely he must be dead by now.
Don't underestimate the power of the Force.
The Jedi are extinct. Their fire has gone out of the universe. You, my friend, are all that's left of their religion.
There is a quiet buzz in the comlink.
Yes. Governor Tarkin, we have an emergency alert in detention block AA-23. The princess! Put all sections on alert.
Obi-Wan is here. The Force is with him.
If you're right, he must not be allowed to escape.
Escape is not his plan. I must face him alone.
An ominous buzzing sound is heard on the other side of the elevator opening.
Chewie,
Chewbacca responds with a growling noise.
get behind me. Get behind me.
A series of explosions knock a hole in the elevator, through which several Imperial troops begin to emerge. Han and Chewie fire laser pistols at them through the smoke and flame. They turn and run down the cell hallway, meeting up with Luke and Leia rushing towards them.
Can't get out that way.
Looks like you managed to cut off our only escape route.
Maybe you'd like to be back in your cell, Your Highness.
Luke takes a small comlink transmitter from his belt, and they continue to exchange fire with stormtroopers making their way down the corridor.
C3PO, C3PO.
Yes, sir.
We've been cut off. Are there any other ways out of the cell bay? What was that? I didn't copy.
3PO paces the control center as little R2 beeps and whistles a blue streak.
Beep boop.
3PO yells into the small comlink transmitter.
I said all systems have been alerted to your presence, sir. The main entrance seems to be the only way in or out. All other information on your level is restricted.
Someone begins banging on the door.
Open up in there.
Oh no.
Luke and Leia crouch together in an alcove for protection as they continue to exchange fire with troops. Han and Chewbacca are barely able to keep the stormtroopers at bay at the far end of the hallway. The laser fire is very intense and smoke fills the narrow cell corridor.
There isn't any other way out.
I can't hold him off forever. Now what?
Oh, this is some rescue. When you came in here, didn't you have a plan for getting out?
He's the brains, sweetheart.
Luke manages a sheepish grin and shrugs his shoulders.
Well, I didn't.
The princess grabs Luke's gun and fires at a small grate in the wall next to him, almost frying him.
What the hell are you doing?
Someone has to save our skins. Into the garbage chute, wise guy.
She jumps through the narrow opening as Han and Chewbacca look on in amazement. Chewbacca sniffs the garbage chute and says something.
Get in there, you big furry oaf. I don't care what you smell. Get in there and don't worry about it.
Han gives a kick, and the Wookiee disappears into the tiny opening. Luke and Han continue firing as they work their way toward their opening.
Wonderful girl. Either I'm going to kill her, or I'm beginning to like her. Get in there.
Luke ducks laser fire as he jumps into the darkness. Han fires off a couple of quick blasts, creating a smoky cover, then slides into the chute himself and is gone.
Woohoo!
Han tumbles into the large room filled with garbage and muck. Luke is already stumbling around looking for an exit. He finds a small hatchway and struggles to get it open. It won't budge.
Oh, the garbage chute was really wonderful idea. What an incredible smell you've discovered. Let's get out of here. Get away from there.
No.
Han draws his laser pistol and fires at the hatch. The laser bolt ricochets wildly around the small metal room. Everyone dives for cover in the garbage as the bolt explodes almost on top of them. Leia climbs out of the garbage with a rather grim look on her face.
Will you forget it? I already tried it. It's magnetically sealed.
Put that thing away. You're going to get us all killed.
Absolutely, Your Worship. Look, I had everything under control until you let us down here. You know, it's not going to take them long to figure out what happened to us.
It could be worse.
A loud, horrible, inhuman moan works its way up from the murky depths.
Ah.
Chewbacca lets out a terrified howl and begins to back away. Han and Luke stand fast with their laser pistols drawn. The Wookiee is covering near one of the walls.
It's worse.
There's something alive in here.
That's your imagination.
Something just moves past my leg. Look,
What?
did you see that?
What?
Help!
Suddenly, Luke is yanked under the garbage.
Luke! Luke! Luke!
Solo tries to get to Luke. Luke surfaces with a gasp of air and thrashing of limbs. A membrane tentacle is wrapped around his throat.
Luke!
Leia extends a long pipe toward him.
Luke, grab a hold of this.
Blast it, will you? My gun's jammed.
Where?
Anywhere. Oh!
Solo fires his gun downward. Luke is pulled back into the muck by the slimy tentacle.
Luke? Luke!
Suddenly, the walls of the garbage receptacle shudder and move in a couple of inches. Then everything is deathly quiet. Han and Leia give each other a worried look as Chewbacca howls in the corner. With a rush of bubbles and muck, Luke suddenly bobs to the surface.
Grab him.
Luke seems to be released by the thing.
What happened?
I don't know. It just let go of me and disappeared.
I have a very bad feeling about this.
Before anyone can say anything, the walls begin to rumble and edge towards the rebels.
The walls are moving.
Don't just stand there. Try to brace it with something.
They place poles and long metal beams between the closing walls, but they are simply snapped and bent as a giant trash masher rumbles on. The situation doesn't look too good.
Wait a minute.
Luke pulls out his comlink.
3PO. Come in, 3PO. 3PO. Where could he be?
A soft buzzer and the muted voice of Luke calling out for C-3PO can be heard on 3PO's hand comlink, which is sitting on the deserted computer console. R2 and 3PO are nowhere in sight. Suddenly, there's a great explosion, and the door of the control tower flies across the floor. 4 armed stormtroopers enter the chamber.
Take over. See to him. Look there.
A trooper pushes a button, and the supply cabinet door slides open. C-3PO and R2-D2 are inside. R2 follows his bronze companion out into the office.
They're madmen. They're heading for the prison level. If you hurry, you may catch them.
Follow me. You stand guard.
The troops hustle off down the hallway, leaving a guard to watch over the command office.
Come on.
The guard aims a blaster at them.
Oh, all this excitement has overrun the circuits of my counterpart here. If you don't mind, I'd like to take him down to maintenance.
All right.
The guard nods and 3PO, with little R2 in tow, hurries out the door. As the walls rumble closed, the room gets smaller and smaller. Chewie is whining and trying to hold a wall back with his giant paws. Han is leaning back against the other wall. Garbage is snapping and popping. Luke is trying to reach 3PO.
3PO. Come in. 3PO. 3PO.
Han and Leia try to brace the contracting walls with a pole. Leia begins to sink into the trash.
Get to the top.
I can't.
Where could he be? 3PO. 3PO. Will you come in?
They aren't here. Something must have happened to them. See if they've been captured.
Little R2 carefully plugs his claw arm into a new wall socket, and a complex array of electronic sounds spew from the tiny robot.
Beep boop beep beep boop boop beep boop beep 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 beep.
Hurry.
I love
The
the
walls are
hesitation. I love the
walls are
hesitation.
My Wi-Fi disconnected.
Oh, I just thought you were like, I don't know if he's done yet with his little jazz performance there.
I unfortunately missed this performance.
Oh no. You'll see it in the YouTube
Unfor-
video. Yeah.
Yeah.
The walls are only feet apart. Leia and Han are braced against the walls. The princess is frightened. They look at each other. Leia reaches out and takes Han's hand and she holds it tightly. She's terrified and suddenly groans as she feels the first crushing pressure against her body.
One thing's for sure, we're all going to be a lot thinner. Get on top of it.
I'm trying.
Thank goodness they found them. Where could they be?
Bibbity hibbity hip bop bibbity bip bop beep.
Is the comlink? Oh my, I forgot I turned it off.
Meanwhile, Luke is lying on his side, trying to keep his head above the rising ooze. Luke's comlink begins to buzz and he rips it off his belt. Muffled sounds of Luke's voice over the comlink can be heard, but not distinctly.
Are you there, sir?
3PO,
We've had some problems.
will you shut up and listen to me? Shut down all garbage mashers on the detention level, will you? Do you copy? Shut down all the garbage mashers on the detention level. Shut down all the garbage mashers on the detention level.
It's the
No,
same line
shut them
multiple
all
times.
down.
Yeah.
Hurry.
That was 3PO.
Oh.
That was me, you nuts. No, shut them all down. Hurry.
Oh, this is a
3PO.
mess.
3PO holds his head in agony as he hears the incredible screaming and hollering from Luke's comlink.
Ah!
Listen to them. They're dying now too. Curse my metal body. I wasn't fast enough. It's all my fault. My poor master.
3PO, we're all right.
Haha.
The
Yay.
screaming and hollering is a sound of joyous relief. The walls have stopped moving. Han, Chewie, and Leia embrace in the background.
We're all right. You did great.
Luke moves to the pressure-sensitive hatch, looking for a number.
Hey, open the pressure maintenance hatch on this unit number. Where are we?
326827.
Ben enters a humming service trench that powers that huge tractor beam. The trench seems to be 100 miles deep. The clacking sound of the huge switching device can be heard. The old Jedi edges his way along the narrow ledge leading to the control panel. That connects the two large cables. He carefully makes several adjustments in the computer terminal, and several lights on the board go from red to blue. The group exits the garbage room in a dusty, unused hallway. Han and Luke remove the trooper suits and strap on the blaster belts.
Oh, if we can just avoid any more female advice, we ought to be able to get out of here.
Luke smiles and scratches his head as he takes a blast from Solo.
Well, let's get moving.
Chewie begins growling and points to the hatch of the garbage room as he runs away and then stops howling.
Where are you going?
The Dianogu bangs against the hatch and a long slimy tentacle works its way out of the doorway searching for a victim. He aims his pistol.
No,
Come
wait,
here.
they'll hear.
Han fires at the doorway. The noise of the blast echoes relentlessly throughout the empty passageway. Luke simply shakes his head in disgust.
Come here, you big coward.
Chewie shakes his head no.
Chewie, come on, come here.
Listen, I don't know who you are, or where you came from, but from now on, you do as I tell you, okay?
Look, your worshipfulness. Let's get one thing straight. I take orders from one person. Me.
It's a wonder you're still alive. Will somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
Han watches her start away. He looks at Luke.
No reward is worth this.
They follow her, moving swiftly down the deserted corridor. Suddenly, a door behind Ben slides open and a detachment of stormtroopers marches to the power trench. Ben instantly slips into the shadows of an officer, moves within a few feet of him.
Secure this area until the alert is canceled. Give me regular reports.
All but two of the stormtroopers leave.
Do you know what's going on? Maybe it's another drill.
Ben moves around the tractor beam, watching the stormtroopers as they turn their backs to him. Ben gestures his hands towards them as the troops think they hear something in the other hallway. With double the force, Ben deftly slipped past the troopers into the main hallway.
What was that? Oh, it's nothing. Don't worry about it.
Luke, Han, Chewbacca, and Leia run down an empty hallway and stop before a bay window overlooking the pirate ship. Troopers are milling about the ship. Luke takes out his pocket comlink.
Oh, sorry. There she is.
C3PO, do you copy?
For the moment, we're in the main hangar across from the ship.
We're right above you. Stand by.
Han is watching the dozen or so troops moving in and out of the pirate ship. Leia moves towards him. Han touches his arm and points out the window to the ship.
You came in that thing? You're braver than I thought.
Nice. Come on.
Han gives her a dirty look, and they start off down the hallway. They round a corner and run right into Imperial troopers, stormtroopers heading towards them. Both groups are taken by surprise and stop in their tracks.
It's them. Blast them.
Sorry. Before even thinking, Han blasts his laser pistol and charges the troops, firing. His blaster knocks one of the stormtroopers into the air. Chewie follows his captain down the corridor, stepping over the fallen trooper on the floor.
Get back to the ship.
Where are you going? Come back.
Han has already rounded a corner and does not hear.
He certainly has courage.
What good will it do us if he gets himself killed? Come on.
Luke is furious, but doesn't have time to think about it. For muted alarms begin to go off.
Do you want me to take over? Do you want me to take over?
Yeah,
it's a lot
sorry,
of
I need a
reading.
drink.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Begin to go off down on the hangar deck. Luke and Leia start off toward the starship hangar. Han chases the stormtroopers down a long sub-hallway. He is yelling and brandishing his laser pistol. The troops reach a dead end and are forced to turn and fight. Han stops a few feet from them and assumes a defensive position. The troops the troops begin to raise their laser guns. Soon all 10 troopers are moving into an attack position in front of the Lone Star pirate. Han's determined look begins to fade as the troops begin to advance. Solo jumps backwards as they fire at him. Chewbacca runs down the sub-hallway in a last-ditch attempt to save his bold captain. Suddenly, he hears the firing of laser guns and yelling. Around the corner shoots Han, pirate extraordinaire, running for his life, followed by a host of furious stormtroopers. Chewbacca turns and starts running the other way also. Luke fires his laser pistol wildly as he and Leia rush down a narrow sub-hallway, chased by several stormtroopers. They quickly reach the end of the sub-hallway and race through an open hatchway. Luke and Leia race through the hatch onto a narrow bridge that spans a huge, deep shaft that seems to go into infinity. The bridge has been retracted into the wall of the shaft, and Luke almost rushes into the abyss. He loses his balance off the end of the bridge as Leia, behind him, takes hold of his arm and pulls him back.
I think we took a wrong turn.
Blasts from the stormtroopers' laser guns explode nearby, reminding them of the oncoming danger. Luke fires back at the advancing troops. Leia reaches over and hits a switch that pops the hatch door shut with a resounding boom, leaving them precariously perched on a short piece of bridge overhang. Laser fire from the troopers continues to hit the steel door. There's no lock! John, you want to take over again?
Yeah. Luke blasts the controls with his laser pistol.
That I'll hold it for a while.
Quick, we've got to get across. Find the control that extends the bridge.
Oh, I think I just blasted it.
Luke looks at the blasted bridge control while the stormtroopers on the opposite side of the door begin making ominous drilling and pounding sounds.
They're coming through!
Luke notices something on his stormtrooper belt when laser fire hits the wall behind him. Luke aims his laser pistol at a stormtrooper perched on a higher bridge overhang across the abyss from them. They exchange fire. Two more troops appear on the another overhang, also firing. A trooper is hit and grabs at his chest. Another trooper standing on the bridge overhang is hit by Luke's laser fire and plummets down the shaft. Troopers move back off the bridge. Luke hands the gun to Leia.
Here, hold this.
Luke pulls a thin nylon cable from his trooper utility belt. It has a grappler hook on it. A trooper appears on a bridge overhang and fires at Luke and Leia. As Luke works with the rope, Leia returns the laser volley. Another trooper appears and fires at them. As Leia returns his fire as well, suddenly the hatch door begins to open, revealing the feet of more troops.
Here they come.
Leia hits one of the stormtroopers on the bridge above, and he falls into the abyss. Luke tosses the rope above the gorge, and it wraps itself around an outcropping of pipes. He tugs on the rope to make sure it is secure, then grabs the princess in his arms. Leia looks at Luke, then kisses him quickly on the lips. Luke is very surprised.
For luck.
Luke pushes off, and they swing across the treacherous abyss to the corresponding hatchway on the opposite side. Just as Luke and Leia reach the far side of their canyon, the stormtroopers break through the hatch and begin to fire at the escaping duo. Luke returns the fire before ducking into the tiny sub-hallway. Ben hides in the shadows of a narrow passageway as several stormtroopers rush past him in the main hallway. He checks to make sure they're gone, then runs down the hallway in the opposite direction. Darth Vader appears at the far end of the hallway and starts after the old Jedi. 3PO looks around at the hallway at the troops milling around the pirate ship entry ramp.
Where could they be?
R2, plugged into the computer socket, turns his dome left and right, beeping a response.
Beep, 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 beep.
Han and Chewbacca run down a long corridor with several troopers on their hot trail.
Close the blast doors.
At the front end of the hallway, blast doors begin to close in front of them. The young star pilot and his furry companion race past the huge doors just as they are closing and manage to get off a couple laser blasts at the pursuing troops before the door slams shut.
Open the blast doors. Open the blast doors.
Ben hurries along one of the tunnels leading to the hangar where the pirate ship waits. Just before he reaches the hangar, Darth Vader steps into view at the end of the tunnel, not 10 feet away. Vader lights his saber. Ben also ignites his and steps slowly forward.
I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again. At last, the circle is now complete.
Ben Kenobi moves with elegant ease into the classical offensive position. The fearsome Dark Knight takes a defensive stance.
When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
The two galactic warriors stand perfectly still for a few moments, sizing each other up and waiting for the right moment. Ben seems to be under increasing pressure and strain, as if an invisible weight were being placed upon him. He shakes his head, blinking, tries to clear his eyes. Ben makes a sudden lunge at the huge warrior, but is checked by a lightning movement of the Sith. The masterful slash stroke by Vader is blocked by the old Jedi. Another of the Jedi's blows is blocked, then countered. Ben moves around the Dark Lord and starts back into the massive starship hangar. The two powerful warriors stand motionless for a few moments with laser swords locked in midair, creating a loud buzzing sound.
Your powers are weak, old man.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Their lightsabers continue to meet in combat. Han Solo and Chewbacca, their weapons in hand, lean back against the wall, surveying the forward bay, watching the Imperial stormtroopers make their rounds of the hangar.
Didn't we just leave this party?
Chewbacca growls a reply as Luke and the princess join them.
What kept you?
We ran into some old friends.
Is the ship all right?
Seems okay. If we can get to it. Let's hope the old man got the tractor beam out of commission.
Vader and Ben Kenobi continue their powerful duel. As they hit their lightsabers together, lightning flashes on impact. Troops look on in interest as the old Jedi and Darth Lord of the Sith fight. Suddenly, Luke spots the battle from his group's vantage point.
Look,
Luke, Leia, Han, and Chewie look up and see Ben and Vader emerging from the hallways on the far side of the docking bay. 3PO and R2-D2 are in the center of the Death Star's Imperial docking bay.
Come on, R2, we're going.
3PO ducks out of sight as the 7 stormtroopers who were guarding the starship rush past him heading towards Ben and the Sith Knight. He pulls on R2.
Do you want me to take over again?
Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. Solo, Chewie, Luke, and Leia tensely watch the duel. The troops rush towards the battling knights.
Now's our chance. Go.
They start for the Millennium Falcon. Ben sees the troops charging toward him and realizes that he is trapped. Vader takes advantage of Ben's momentary distraction and brings his mighty lightsaber down on the old man. Ben manages to deflect the blow and swiftly turns around. The old Jedi Knight looks over his shoulder at Luke, lifts his sword from Vader's, then watches his opponent with a serene look on his face. Vader brings his sword down, cutting old Ben in half. Ben's cloak falls to the floor in 2 parts, but Ben is not in it. Vader is puzzled at Ben's disappearance and pokes at the empty cloak. As his guards are distracted, the adventurers and the robots reach the starship. Luke sees Ben cut in 2 and starts for him. Again, aghast, he yells out,
No!
The stormtroopers turn toward Luke and begin firing at him. The robots are already moving up the ramp into the Millennium Falcon, while Luke, transfixed by anger and awe, returns their fire. Solo joins them in laser fire. Vader looks up and advances towards them as one of his troopers is struck down.
Han?
Oh, sorry. Come on.
Come on, Luke, it's too late.
Oh. Blast the door, kid.
Luke fires his pistol at the door control panel, and it explodes. The door begins to slide shut. 3 troopers charge forward, firing their laser bolts as the door slides to a close behind them. Shutting Vader and the other troops out of his docking bay, a stormtrooper lies dead at the feet of his onrushing compatriots. Luke starts for the advancing troops as Solo and Leia move up the ramp into the pirate ship. He fires, hitting a stormtrooper who rumbles to the floor.
Run, Luke, run.
Luke looks around to see where the voice came from. He turns towards the pirate ship, ducking Imperial gunfire from the troops, and races into the ship. Han pulls back on the controls, and the ship begins to move. A dull thud of laser bolts bouncing off the outside of the ship as Chewie adjusts his controls.
I hope the old man got that tractor beam out of commission, or this trip is going to be a real short. Or this is going to be a real short trip. Okay, hit it.
Chewbacca growls in agreement. The Millennium Falcon powers away from the Death Star docking bay, makes a spectacular turn, and disappears into the vastness of space. Luke, saddened by the loss of Obi-Wan Kenobi, stares off blankly at the robots look on. Leia puts a blanket around him protectively, and Luke turns and looks up to her. She sits down beside him. Solo spots approaching enemy ships.
We're coming up on the sentry ships. Hold them off. Angle the deflector shields while I charge the main guns.
Luke looks downward sadly, shaking his head back and forth as the princess smiles comfortingly at him.
I can't believe he's gone.
Beep. There wasn't anything you could have done.
Han rushes into the hold area where Luke is sitting with the princess.
Come on, buddy. We're not out of this yet.
Solo climbs into his attack position in the top side gun port. Luke gets up and moves out towards the gun ports as Leia heads for the cockpit. Luke climbs down the ladder into the gun port cockpit, settling into one of the 2 main laser cannons mounted in large rotating turrets on either side of the ship. Han adjusts his headset as he sits before the controls of his laser cannon, then speaks into the attached microphone.
You in, kid? Okay, stay sharp.
Chewbacca and Princess Leia search the heavens for attacking TIE fighters. The Wookiee pulls back on his speed controls as the ship bounces slightly. Computer graphic readouts form on Solo's target screen as Han reaches for controls. Luke sits in readiness for the attack, his hand on the laser cannon's control button. Chewbacca spots enemy ships and barks.
Here they come.
The Imperial TIE fighters move towards the Millennium Falcon, one of each veering off to the left and right of the pirate ship. The stars whip past the Imperial pilot as he adjusts his maneuvering joystick. The TIE fighters race past the Falcon, the firing laser beams as it passes. 3PO is seated in the hold area, next to R2-D2. The pirate ship bounces and vibrates as the power goes in the room and then comes back on. A TIE fighter maneuvers in front of Han, who follows and fires at it with the laser cannon. Luke does likewise as the fighter streaks into the view. The ship has suffered a minor hit and bounces slightly. The two TIE fighters dive down towards the pirate ship. Luke fires at an unseen fighter.
They're coming in too fast.
And with pirate ship as two TIE fighters charge through the background, laser bolts streak from all the aircraft.
Do you want me to read the rest of this?
Keep going for a little bit. I need a little bit of a break.
Okay, yeah, sure. The ship shudders as a laser bolt hits very close to the cockpit. The Wookiee chatters something to Leia. Full shot of a TIE fighter as it moves fast through the frame, firing on the pirate starship. The two TIE fighters fire a barrage of laser beams at the pirate ship. A laser bolt streaks into the side of the pirate ship. The ship lurches violently, throwing poor 3PO into a cabinet full of small computer chips.
Oh.
Leia watches the computer readout as Chewbacca manipulates the ship's controls. We've lost lateral controls!
Don't worry. She'll hold together.
An enemy laser bolt hits the pirate ship's control panel, causing it to blow out in a shower of sparks.
You hear me, baby? Hold together.
R2-D2 advances towards the smoking, sparking control panel, dousing the Inferno by spraying it with fire retardant, beeping all the while. Beep, beep, boop, beep, 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 bop, bop, beep. Luke swivels in his gun mount, following the TIE fighter with his laser cannon. Solo aims his laser cannon at the enemy fighter. A TIE fighter streaks in front of the starship. Leia watches the TIE fighter ship fly over. A TIE fighter heads right for the pirate ship, then zooms overhead. Luke follows the TIE fighter across his field of view, firing laser beams from his cannon. A TIE fighter dives past the pirate ship. Luke fires at a TIE fighter. At his port, Han follows a fighter in his sights, releasing a blast of laser fire. He connects, and the fighter explodes into fiery dust. Han laughs victoriously. Two TIE fighters move toward and over the Millennium Falcon, unleashing a barrage of laser bolts at the ship. Another TIE fighter moves in on the battleship, and Luke, smiling, fires the laser cannon at it, scoring a spectacular direct hit.
I got him. Got him.
Han turns and gives Luke a victory wave, which Luke gleefully returns.
Great kid. Don't get cocky.
Han turns back to his laser cannon. Two more TIE fighters cross in front of the pirate ship. While Chewbacca manipulates the controls, Leia turns, looking over her shoulder out the ports. There are still two more of them out there. John, you want to take over now?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, hell yeah.
You was wait, read the line again where I'm starting.
We're at a TIE fighter moves up
The
over.
TIE fighter moves up over the pirate ship, firing laser blasts at it. Luke and Han, looking at the respective projected target screens, an Imperial fighter crosses Solo's port, and Han swivels in his chair, following it with a blast from his laser cannons. Another fighter crosses Luke's port, and he reacts in a like manner, the glow of his target screen lighting his face. The TIE fighter zooms towards the pirate ship, firing destructive blasts at it. Luke fires a laser blast at the approaching enemy fighter, and it bursts into a spectacular explosion. Luke's projected screen gives a readout of the hit. The pirate ship bounces slightly as it is struck by enemy fire. The last of the attacking Imperial TIE fighters looms in, firing upon the Falcon. Solo swivels behind the cannon, his aim describing the arc of the TIE fighter. The fighter comes closer, firing at the pirate ship, but a well-aimed blast from Solo's laser cannon hits the attacker, which blows up in a small atomic shower of burning fragments.
That's it. We did it.
Princess jumps up and gives Chewie a congratulatory hug.
We did it!
3PO lies on the floor of the ship, completely tangled up in sparking wires.
Help, I think I'm melting. This is all your fault.
R2 turns his dome from side to side, beeping in response.
Beep, 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 beep. Boop, boop.
The victorious Millennium Falcon moves off majestically through space. Darth Vader strides into the control room where Tarkin is watching the huge screen. A sea of stars is before him.
Are they away?
They have just made the jump to hyperspace.
And you're sure the homing beacon is secure aboard their ship? I'm taking an awful risk, Vader. This had better work.
Han removes his glove and smiling is at the controls of the ship. Chewie moves into the aft section to check the damage. Leia is seated near Han.
Not a bad bit of rescuing, huh? You know, sometimes I even amaze myself.
That doesn't sound too hard. Besides, they let us go. It's the only explanation for the ease of our escape.
Easy? You call that easy?
They're tracking us.
Not this ship, sister.
John?
Frustrated, Leia shakes her head.
At least the information in R2 is still intact.
What's so important? What's he carrying?
The technical readouts of that battle station. I only hope that when the data is analyzed, a weakness can be found. It's not over yet.
It is for me, sister. Look, I ain't in this for you or your revolution. And I'm not in it for you, princess. I expect to be well paid. I'm in it for the money.
You needn't worry about your reward. If money is all that you love, then that's what you'll receive.
She angrily turns, and as she starts out of the cockpit, passes Luke coming in.
Your friend is quite a mercenary. I wonder if he really cares about anything. Or anyone.
I care.
Luke, shaking his head, sits in the co-pilot seat. He and Han stare out in the vast blackness of space.
So, what are you thinking for Han?
I'm trying not to, kid.
Good.
Still, she's got a lot of spirit. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think a princess and a guy like me?
No.
Luke says it with finality and looks away. Han smiles at young Luke's jealousy.
This is
The
a
battered
big
pirate.
this is a big paragraph. You want me to do it?
Yeah, sure.
All
I'll
right.
do at least some of it. If you want me to take over, just ask.
Yeah, no. I can get down to when Willard shows up. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, don't worry. Luke says it with finality and looks away. Han smiles at young Luke's jealousy. The battered pirate ship drifts into orbit around the planet Yavin and proceeds to land proceeds to one of its tiny green moons. That is a weird way to write that sentence. The pirate ship soars over the dense jungle. An alert guard, his laser gun in hand, scans the countryside. He sets the gun down and looks toward the temple, barely visible in the foliage. I'm dying. Rotting in a forest of gargantuan trees, an ancient temple lies shrouded in an eerie mist. The air is heavy with the fantastic cries of unimaginable creatures. Han, Luke, and the others are greeted by the rebel troops. Luke and the group ride into the massive temple on an armored military speeder. The military speeder stops in front of a huge spaceship hangar set up in the interior of the crumbling temple. Willard, the commander of the rebel forces, rushes up to the group and gives Leia a big hug. Everyone is pleased to see her. You're safe. We had feared the worst. You can take over now, John.
I don't get how people are voice actors, man. This shit hard.
It do be hard. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I gave you the role that speaks the most, and you had COVID, dude. Oh, that sucks.
I can narrate a bit if needed. I don't think I have too many lines here.
I think you're about to run out of lines too, 3PO. Yeah, I think that is
Yeah, should I
about to
start?
happen. John, you okay with that?
Yeah, sure, if you want to, man. I'm not stopping you.
All right. Willard composes.
Willard composes himself, steps back, and bows formally.
When we heard about Alderaan, we were afraid that you were lost along with your father. We don't have time for our sorrows, Commander. The battle station has surely tracked us here. It's the only explanation for the ease of our escape. You must use the information in this R2 unit to plan the attack. It is our only hope.
The surface of the Death Star ominously approaches the red planet Yavin. Grand Moff Tarkin and Lord Vader are interrupted in their discussion by the buzz of the comlink. Tarkin moves to answer the call.
Yes. We are approaching the planet Yavin. The rebel base is on a moon on the far side. We are preparing to orbit the planet.
Lone Guard are high above the Yavin landscape, surveying the countryside. A mist hangs over the jungle of twisted green. Dordana stands before a large electronic wall display. Leia and several other senators are to one side of the giant readout. The low ceilinged room is filled with star pilots, navigators, and a sprinkling of R2 type robots. Everyone is listening intently to what Dordana is saying. Han and Chewbacca are standing near the back.
The battle station is heavily shielded and carries a firepower greater than half the Starfleet. Its defenses are designed around a direct, large-scale assault. A small one-man fighter should be able to penetrate the outer defense.
Gold Leader, a rough looking man in his early 30s, stands and addresses Dordana.
Pardon me for asking, sir, but what good are snub fighters going to be against that? Well, the Empire doesn't consider a small one-man fighter to be any threat, or they'd have a tighter defense. An analysis of the plans provided by Princess Leia has demonstrated a weakness in the battle station.
Is that supposed to be named something else in the final script?
No,
Dordana? Is that Akbar or something?
no, that's Jan Dodonna. He just has he has a very similar voice to Admiral Akbar. Yeah.
Oh, okay. R2D2 stands next to a similar robot, makes beeping sounds, and turns his head from right to left.
The approach will not be easy. You are required to maneuver straight down this trench and skim the surface to this point. The target area is only 2 meters wide. It is a small thermal exhaust port right below the main port. The shaft leads directly to the reactor system. A precise hit will start a chain reaction which should destroy the station.
A murmur of disbelief runs through the room.
Only a precise hit will set up a chain reaction. The shaft is ray shielded, so you have to use proton torpedoes.
Luke is sitting next to Wedge Antilles, a hotshot pilot about 16 years old.
That's impossible, even for a computer.
It's not impossible. I used to bullseye womp rats in my T-16 back home. They're not much bigger than 2 meters.
Man your ships, and may the Force be with you.
The group rises and begins to leave. The Death Star begins to move around the planet toward the tiny green moon. Tarkin and Vader watch the computer-projected screen with interest as a circle of lights intertwines around one another on the screen, showing its position in relation to Yavin and the fourth moon.
Orbiting the base at maximum velocity. The moon with the rebel base will be in range in 30 minutes. Lord Vader. Darth Vader.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
This will be a day long remembered. It has seen the end of Kenobi, and it will see the end of the rebellion.
Luke, 3PO, and little R2 enter the huge spaceship hangar and hurry along a line of gleaming space fighters. Flight crews rush around loading last-minute armaments and unlocking power couplings. In a small area isolated from this activity, Luke finds Han and Chewbacca loading small boxes onto an armored speeder.
All flight troops, man your stations. All flight troops, man your stations.
Han is deliberately ignoring the activity of the fighter pilot's preparation. Luke is quite saddened at the sight of his friend's departure.
So, you got your reward, and you're just leaving then?
That's right. Yeah. I got some old debts I gotta pay off with this stuff. Even if I didn't, you don't think I'd be fool enough to stick around here, do you? Why don't you come with us? You're pretty good in a fight. I could use you.
Come on, why don't you take a look around? You know what's about to happen. What they're up against? They could use a good pilot like you. You're turning your back on them.
What good's a reward if you ain't around to use it? Besides, attacking that battle station? Ain't my idea of courage. It's more like suicide.
All right, well, take care of yourself, Han. I guess that's what you're best at, isn't it?
Luke goes off and Han hesitates, then calls to him.
Hey, Luke. May the Force be with you.
Luke turns and sees Han wink at him. Luke lifts his head in a small wave and then goes off. Han turns to Chewie, who growls at his captain.
What are you looking at? I know what I'm doing.
Luke, Leia, and Adana meet under a huge space fighter.
What's wrong?
Oh, it's Han. I don't know. I really thought he changed his mind.
He's got to follow his own path. No one can choose it for him.
I only wish Ben were here.
Leia gives Luke a little kiss, turns, and goes off. As Luke heads for his ship, another pilot rushes up to him and grabs his arm.
John, you want to read Biggs? You want to read for Biggs?
Yeah, I can.
Awesome.
Luke, I don't believe it. How'd you get here? Are you going out with us?
Biggs, of course I'll be up there with you. Listen, have I got some stories to tell you?
Red Leader, a rugged, handsome man in his 40s, comes up behind Luke and Biggs. He has the confident smile of a born leader.
Are you Luke Skywalker? Have you been checked out on the Incom T-65?
Sir, Luke is the best bush pilot in the Outer Rim territories.
He does. He has. This is not correct. This next line is not correct. But yeah, whatever. Go ahead.
Red Leader pats Luke on the back as they stop in front of his fighter.
Just skip this. All right, Biggs.
I've got to get aboard. Listen, you'll tell me your stories when we come back, all right?
I told you I'd make it someday, Biggs.
You did, all right. It's going to be like old times, Luke. We're a couple of shooting stars that'll never be stopped.
Luke laughs and shakes his head in agreement. He heads for his ship. As Luke begins to climb up the ladder into his sleek, deadly spaceship, the crew chief, who is working on the craft, points to little R2, who is being hoisted into a socket on the back of the fighter.
This R2 unit seems a bit beat up. You want a new one?
Not on your life. That little droid and I have been through a lot together. You okay, R2?
The crewmen lower R2D2 into the craft. Now, a part of the exterior shell of the spaceship, the little droid beeps that he is fine. Luke climbs into the cockpit of his fighter and puts on his helmet. 3PO looks on from the floor of the massive hangar as the crewman secure his little electronic partner into Luke's X-Wing. It's an emotional-filled moment as R2 beeps goodbye.
Okay, easy she goes.
Hang on tight, R2. You've got to come back.
Beep, beep, beep.
You wouldn't want my life to get boring, would you?
Wee woo.
All final preparations are made for the approaching battle. The hangar is buzzing with the last-minute activity as the pilots and crewmen alike make their final adjustments. The humming of activity is occasionally trespassed by the distorted voice of the loudspeaker issuing commands. Coupling hoses are disconnected from the ships as they are fueled. Cockpit shields roll smoothly into place over each pilot. A signalman, holding red guiding lights, directs the ships. Luke, a trace of a smile gracing his lips, peers about through his goggles.
Luke, the Force will be with you.
Luke is confused at the voice and taps his headphones. All that can be seen of the fortress is a lone guard standing on a small pedestal jutting out above the dense jungle. The muted, gruesome crying sounds that naturally permeate this eerie purgatory are overwhelmed by the thundering din of ion rockets as 4 silver starships catapult from the foliage in a tight formation and disappear into the morning cloud cover. The Princess 3PO and a field commander sit quietly before the giant display showing the planet Yavin and its 4 moons. The red dot that represents the Death Star moves ever closer to the system. A series of green dots appear around the 4th moon. A din of indistinct chatter fills the war room.
Standby alert. Death Star approaching. Estimated time to firing range 15 minutes.
The Death Star slowly moves behind the massive yellow surface of Yavin in the foreground, as many X-Wing fighters flying in formation zoom toward us and out of the frame. Light from a distant sun creates an eerie atmospheric glow around a huge planet, Yavin. Rebel fighters flying in formation settle ominously in the foreground and very slowly pull away. Red Leader lowers his visor and adjusts his gun sights, looking to each side at his wingman.
All wings report in.
One of the rebel fighters checks in through his mic. Red 10, standing by. Biggs checks his fighter's controls, alert and ready for combat.
Red 7 standing by. Biggs.
Red 3 standing by.
Red 6 standing by.
Red 9 standing by.
Red 2 standing by.
All right, you can be Wedge. You can be Wedge.
Red 11 standing by.
Red 5 standing by.
R2-D2, in position outside of the fighter, turns his head from side to side and makes beeping sounds.
Lock S foils in attack position.
The group of X-Wing fighters moves in formation toward the Death Star, unfolding the wings and locking them in the X position.
We're passing through their magnetic field. Hold tight.
Luke adjusts his controls as he concentrates on the approaching Death Star. The ship begins to be buffeted slightly.
Switch your deflectors on. Double front.
The fighters, now X-shaped darts, move in formation. The Death Star now appears to be a small moon, growing rapidly in size as the rebel fighters approach. Complex patterns on the metallic surface begin to become visible. A large dish antenna is built into the surface on one side. Wedge is amazed and slightly frightened at the awesome spectacle.
Look at the size of that thing.
All right, so as we're going into this, I'm going to do Porkins, Red Leader, and Gold Leader, okay? All right, you guys can divide it amongst yourselves, the other ones. All right, here we go. Accelerate to attack speed. This is it, boys.
As the fighters move closer to the Death Star, the awesome size of the gargantuan Imperial fortress is revealed. Half of the deadly space station is in shadow, and this area sparkles with thousands of small lights running in thin lines, and occasionally grouped in large clusters, somewhat like a city at night as seen from a weather satellite.
Red Leader, this is Gold Leader. I copy, Gold Leader. We're starting for the target shaft now.
Red Leader looks around at his wingmen, the Death Star looming in from behind. Two Y-wing fighters bob back and forth in the background. He moves his computer targeting device into position.
We're in position. I'm going to cut across the axis and try and draw their fighter. Fire.
Two squads of rebel fighters peel off. X-Wings dive toward the Death Star surface. 1,000 lights glow across the dark gray expanse of the huge station. Alarm sirens scream as soldiers scramble to large turbo-powered laser gun emplacements. Electronic drivers rotate the huge guns into positions as the crew adjust their targeting devices. Laser bolts streak through the star-filled night. The rebel X-Wing fighters move in toward the Imperial base as the Death Star aims its massive laser guns at the rebel forces and fires. Princess Leia listens to the battle over the intercom. 3PO is at her side.
Heavy fire, boss. 20 degrees.
I see it. Stay low.
An X-Wing zooms across the surface of the Death Star. Technical crews scurry here and there, loading last-minute armaments and unlocking power cables. Wedge maneuvers his fighter toward the menacing Death Star. X-Wings continue in their attack course on the Death Star. Luke dives radically, starting his attack on the monstrous fortress. The Death Star surface streaks past the cockpit window.
Luke. Oh no, Luke crashed. Luke is dead. He got shot down. The movie's over. Sorry,
Red
guys.
5. I'm going in.
No, he's there. He's there.
This is Red 5. I'm going in.
Luke's X-Wing races toward the Death Star. Laser bolts streak from Luke's weapons, creating a huge fireball explosion on the dim surface. Terror crosses Luke's face as he realizes he won't be able to pull out in time to avoid the fireball.
Biggs.
Luke, pull up.
Luke's ship emerges from the fireball, with the leading edges of its wings slightly scorched.
Are you alright?
Luke adjusts his controls and breathes a sigh of relief. Flak bursts outside the cockpit window.
I got a little cooked, but I'm okay.
Rebel fire eaters continue to strafe the Death Star surface with laser bolts. Walls buckle and cave in. Troops and equipment are blown in all directions. Stormtroopers stagger out of the rubble. Standing in the middle of the chaos, a vision of calm and foreboding, is Darth Vader. One of his Astro officers rushes up to him.
We count 30 rebel ships, Lord Vader, but they're so small that they're evading our turbo lasers.
We'll have to destroy the ships. Well, we'll have to destroy them ship to ship. Get the crews to their fighters.
Smoke belches from the giant laser guns as they wind up their turbine generators to create sufficient power. The crew rushes about preparing for another blast. Even the trooper's headgear is not adequate to protect them from the overwhelming noise of the monstrous weapon. One trooper bangs his helmet with his hand in an attempt to stop the ringing. Red Leader flies through a heavy hail of flak.
Luke, let me know when you're going in.
The Red Leader's X-Wing flies past Luke as he puts his nose down and starts his attack dot.
Luke,
I'm on my way in now.
watch yourself. There's a lot of fire coming in from the right side of that deflection tower.
I'm on it.
I can take over narrator again if you want.
Okay.
Luke flings his X-Wing into a twisting dive across the horizon and down onto the dim gray surface. A shot hurls from Luke's guns, laser bolts straight towards the onrushing Death Star surface. Several small radar emplacements erupt in flame. Laser fire erupts from the protruding tower on the surface. The blurry Death Star surface races past the cockpit window as a big smile is swept across Luke's face as the success of his run. Flak thunders on all sides of him. The Death Star's superstructure races past Luke as he maneuvers his craft through the wall of the laser fire and peels away from the surface towards the heavens. The thunder and smoke of the big guns reverberate throughout the massive structure. Many soldiers rush about in the smoke and chaos, silhouetted by the almost continual flash of explosions. Biggs dives through the forest of radar domes, antennae, and gun towers as he shoots low across the Death Star surface. A dense barrage of laser fire streaks by on all sides. Imperial Star pilots dash in unison to a line of small auxiliary hatches that lead the Imperial TIE fighters. Princess Leia, surrounded by her generals and aides, paces nervously before a lighted computer table. On all sides, technicians work in front of the many lighted glass walls. Dodonna watches quietly from one corner. One of the officers working over a screen speaks into his headset. Squad leaders, we've picked up a new group of signals. Enemy fighters coming your way. Luke looks around to see if he can spot the approaching Imperial fighters.
My scope's negative. I don't see anything.
The Death Star's surface sweeps past as Red Leader searches the sky for the Imperial fighters. Flak pounds at his ship.
Keep up your visual scanning. With all this jamming, they'll be on top of you before your scope can pick them up.
Silhouetted against the rim lights of the Death Star horizon, 4 ferocious Imperial TIE ships dive on the rebel fighters. 2 of the TIE fighters peel off and drop out of the frame, pan with the remaining 2 TIE ships. Biggs panics when he discovers a TIE ship on his tail. A horizon in the background twists off around as he peels off, hoping to lose an Imperial fighter.
Biggs, you picked one up. Watch it.
I can't see it. Where is he? Biggs zooms off the surface and comes into space, closely followed by an Imperial TIE fighter. The TIE ship fires several laser bolts at Biggs, but misses. Biggs sees the TIE ship behind him and swings around, trying to avoid him. He's on me tight. I can't shake him. Biggs, flying at high altitude, peels off and dives towards the Death Star surface, but he is unable to lose a TIE fighter, who sticks close to his tail. Luke is flying upside down. He rotates his ship around the normal altitude as he comes out of his dive.
Hang on, Biggs. I'm coming in.
Biggs and the tailing TIE ship dive for the surface, now followed by the fast-gaining Luke. After Biggs dives out of sight, Luke chases the Imperial fighter. In the foreground, the Imperial fighter races across the Death Star surface, closely followed by Luke in the background. There's a shot from Luke's X-Wing on the TIE ship exploding there in a mass of flames.
Got him.
Darth Vader strives purposely down a Death Star corridor, flanked by Imperial stormtroopers.
Vader.
Several fighters have broken off from the main group. Come with me.
A concerned Princess Leia, 3PO, Dodonna, and other officers of the rebellion stand around a huge round readout screen, listening to the ship-to-ship communication on the room's loudspeaker. Pull in. Luke. Pull in.
Watch your back, Luke. Watch your back. Fighters above you coming in.
Luke's ship soars away from the Death Star's surface as he spots a tailing TIE fighter. The TIE pilot takes aim at Luke's X-Wing. The Imperial TIE fighter pilot scores a hit on Luke's ship. Fire breaks out on the right side of the X-Wing. Luke looks out of his cockpit at the flames on his ship.
I'm hit, but not bad.
Smoke pours out from behind R2D2.
R2, see what you can do with it. Hang on back there.
Green laser fire moves past the beeping little robot as his head turns. Luke nervously works his controls.
Red 6.
In the war room, Leia stands frozen as she listens and worries about Luke.
Can you see Red 5? One of you was Red 10.
There's a heavy fire zone on this side. Red 5, where are you?
Luke spots a TIE fighter behind him and soars away from the Death Star surface.
I can't shake him.
Luke's ship soars closer to the surface of the Death Star, the Imperial TIE fighter closing in on in hot pursuit. The Death Star whips below Wedge.
I'm on him, Luke. Hold on.
Wedge dives across the horizon towards Luke and the TIE fighter. Wedge moves his X-Wing in rapidly. Luke reacts frantically.
Blast it. Wedge, where are you?
The fighter pilot watches Wedge's X-Wing approach. Another X-Wing joins him, and both unleash a volley of laser fire on the Imperial fighter. The TIE fighter explodes, filling the screen with white light. Luke's ship can be seen in the distance. Luke looks about in relief.
Thanks, Wedge.
Leia, 3PO, Dodonna, and other Rebel officers are listening to the Rebel fighter's radio transmission over the war room intercom. Good shooting, Wedge.
Red Leader.
Gold Leader peels off and starts towards the long trenches at the Death Star surface pole.
This is Gold Leader. We are starting our attack run.
3 Y-Wing fighters out of the stars toward the Death Star surface. Leia and others are grouped around the screen as technicians move about, attending to their duties.
I copy, Gold Leader. Move into position.
3 Imperial TIE ships are in precise formation, dive towards the Death Star surface. Darth Vader calmly adjusts his control stick as the stars whip past in the window above his head.
Stay in attack formation.
The exhaust post is... Oh, oops. Go ahead.
Technicians are seated at the computer readout table.
The exhaust post is marked and locked in.
Gold Leader approaches the surface and pulls out to skim the surface of the huge station. The ship moves into a deep trench, firing laser bolts. The surface streaks past as the laser fire is returned by the Death Star. Gold 5 is a pilot in his early 50s with a very battered helmet that looks like it's been through many battles. He looks around to see if enemy ships are near. His fighter is buffeted by Imperial flak. Gold Leader races down the enormous trench that leads to the exhaust port. Laser bolts blast towards him in increasing numbers, occasionally exploding near the ship, causing it to bounce about.
Switch power to front deflector screens.
3 Y-Wings skim the Death Star surface in the deep of the trench as laser bolts shriek past on all sides. An exterior surface guns blazes away at the oncoming Rebel fighters.
How many guns do you think, Gold 5?
I'd say about 20 guns, some on the surface, some on the towers.
Leia, 3PO, and the technicians review the projected target screen as red and blue target lights glow. The red target near the center blinks on and off.
Death Star will be in range in 5 minutes.
The 3 Y-Wing fighters race towards the camera and zoom overhead through a hail of laser fire. Gold Leader pulls his computer targeting device down in front of his eye. Laser bolts continue to batter the Rebel craft.
Switching to targeting computer.
Gold 2, a younger pilot about Luke's age, pulls down his targeting eye viewer and adjusts it. His ship shudder under intense laser barrage.
Computer's locked. Getting a signal.
As the fighters begin to approach the target area, suddenly all the laser fire stops. An eerie clam clings over the trench as the surface whips past in a blur.
The guns. They've stopped.
Gold 5 looks behind him.
Andrew, I think you were doing both of them. Maxwell, you want to take over for Gold 5?
Gold 5.
Yeah.
Stabilize your
Rear deflectors. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Stabilize your rear deflectors. Watch for enemy fighters.
I think this is the part of the script where the amount of liquor that George was drinking finally hit him, and now he's like trying to use the typewriter, but he's like way too wasted, and now he's just missing keys half the damn time. We're in it now.
Awesome, though,
oh yeah,
this evolved to.
Oh yeah.
The original.
What's really funny is how George Lucas's wife at the time, Marcia, managed to like scoop all this together because they didn't have enough for the final scene, so she had to scoop all of this together and get like archive footage and like a bunch of different like miniature footage and stuff and just tie it all together, and she won an Oscar for it. But yeah, anyhow.
Nice.
Are we at the 3 Imperial TIE ships?
Or Stabilize your. Gold 5, Maxwell.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
Yeah. Stabilize your rear deflectors. Watch for enemy fighters.
They're coming in. 3 marks at 210.
3 Imperial TIE ships, Darth Vader in the center, flanked by 2 wingmen, dive in precise formation almost vertically towards the Death Star surface. Darth Vader calmly adjusts his control stick as the stars zoom by.
I'll take them myself. Cover me.
Yes, sir.
3 TIE fighters zoom across the surface of the Death Star. Vader lines up Gold 2 in his targeting computer. Vader's hand grips the control stick as he presses the button. The cockpit explodes around Gold 2. His head falls forward. As Gold 2 ship explodes, debris is flung out into space. Gold Leader looks over his shoulder at the scene. The 3 TIE fighters race along in the trench in a tight formation. Gold Leader panics.
I can't maneuver.
Gold 5, the old veteran, tries to calm Gold Leader.
Stay on target.
The Death Star races by outside the cockpit window as he adjusts his targeting device.
We're too close.
The order pilot remains calm.
Stay on target.
Now he's really panicked.
Loosen up.
Vader calmly adjusts his targeting computer and pushes the fire button. Gold Leadership is hit by Vader's laser.
Boom.
Gold Leader explodes in a ball of flames, throwing debris in all directions. Gold 5 moves in on the exhaust port.
Gold 5 to Red Leader.
Luke looks over his shoulder at the action outside of his cockpit.
Lost Tyree.
Tyree.
Lost Dutch. Oh, Tyree.
Mhm.
Lost Dutch.
I copy, Gold 5.
They came from behind.
One of the engines explodes on Gold 5's Y-Wing fighter, blazing out of control. He dives past the horizon towards the Death Star surface, passing a TIE fighter during his descent. Gold 5, a veteran of countless campaigns, spins toward his death. Luke looks nervous about him at an explosive battle. Grant, Moff Tarkin, and a chief officer stand in the Death Star's control room.
We've analyzed their attack, sir, and there is a danger. Should I have your ship standing by? Evacuate. In our moment of triumph, I think you overestimate their chances.
Tarkin turns to the computer readout scene. Flames move around the green disc as the center of the screen, as numbers read across the bottom.
Rebel base, 3 minutes and closing.
Red Leader looks over at his wingman.
Red group, this is Red Leader.
Dodonna moves to the intercom as he fiddles with the computer keys.
Rendezvous at Mark 6.1. Wedge.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
This is Red 2, flying toward you.
Biggs.
Red 3, standing by.
Red Leader, this is Base 1. Keep half your group out of range for the next run. Copy, Base 1. Luke, take Red 2 and 3. Hold up there and wait for my signal to start your run.
Luke nods his head. The X-Wing fighters of Luke, Biggs, and Wedge fly in formation high above the Death Star's surface. Luke peers out from his cockpit. 2 X-Wings move across the surface of the Death Star. Red Leader's X-Wing drops down to the surface, leading to the exhaust port. Red Leader looks down to watch for the TIE fighters. He begins to perspire.
This is it.
Red Leader roams down the trench of the Death Star as lasers streak across the black heavens. A huge remote control laser cannon fires at the approaching Rebel fighters. The Rebel fighters evade the Imperial laser blast. Red 10 looks around for the Imperial fighters.
I forget who took that. Yeah. I think that's Andrew.
Whatever. We should be able to see it by now. From the cockpits of the Rebel fighters, the surface of the Death Star streaks by, with Imperial laser fire shooting towards them.
Keep your eyes open for those fighters.
There's too much interference. All right. You want to? All right, you're right.
I'll do
right?
it.
All right.
There's too much interference.
3 X-Wing fighters move in formation down the Death Star trench.
Red 5, can you see them from where you are?
Luke looks down at the Death Star surface below.
No sign of any. Wait,
Red 10 looks up and sees the Imperial fighters.
coming in. 0.35.
I see them.
3 TIE fighters, Vader, flanked by 2 wingmen, dive in a tight formation. The sun reflects off their dominant solar fins as they loop towards the Death Star surface. Red Leader pulls his targeting device in front of his eyes and makes several adjustments.
I'm in range.
Red Leader's X-Wing moves up towards the Death Star trench.
Target's coming up.
Red Leader looks at his computer targeting readout screen. He then looks into his targeting device.
Just hold them off for a few seconds.
Vader adjusts his control lever and dives on the X-Wing fighters.
Close up formation.
The 3 TIE fighters move in formation across the Death Star surface. Red Leader lines up his target on the targeting device crosshairs. Vader and his wingmen zoom down the trench. Vader rapidly approaches the 2 X-Wings of Red 10 and Red 12. Vader's laser cannons flashes below the view of the front porthole. The X-Wings show in the center of Vader's computer screen. Red 12's X-Wing fighters hit by Vader's laser fire and explode in the flames against the trench. Red 10 works at his controls furiously, trying to avoid Vader's fighter behind him.
Oh, you better let loose. You better let her loose.
Red Leader's concentrating on his targeting device.
Almost there.
Red 10 panics.
I can't hold them.
Vader and his wingmen whip through the trench in pursuit of the rebel fighters. Vader coolly pushes the fire button on his control stick. Darth Vader's well-aimed laser fire proves to be unavoidable and strikes Red 10's ship. Red 10 screams in anguish and pain. Red 10 ship explodes and bursts into flames. Grimly, Red Leader takes careful aim and watches his computer targeting device, which shows the targets lined up in the crosshairs and fires.
It's away!
An armed Imperial stormtrooper is knocked to the floor from the attack explosion. Other troopers scurrying from the corridors are knocked against the wall and lose their balance. Leia and the others stare at the computer screen.
It's a
It's
hit!
a hit.
Negative.
I thought that one needed someone. So.
Negative.
Red Leader looks back at the receding Death Star. Tiny explosions are visible in the distance.
Negative. It didn't go in. It just impacted on the surface.
Darth Vader peels off in pursuit of as Red Leader's X-Wing passes the Death Star horizon. Vader swings his ship around for the next kill.
Red Leader, we're right above you. Turn to point.
Luke tries to spot a Red Leader. He looks down at the Death Star surface.
05, we'll cover for you.
Stay there.
A wary Red Leader looks about nervously.
I just lost my starboard engine.
Luke looks excitedly towards Red Leader's X-Wing.
Get set to make your attack run.
Vader's gloved hand makes contact with the control sticks, and he presses their firing buttons. Red Leader fights to gain control of his ship. Laser bolts are flung from Vader's TIE fighter, connecting with Red Leader's Rebel X-Wing fighter. Red Leader buys it, creating a tremendous explosion far below. He screams and is destroyed.
Yeah!
Luke looks out the window of his X-Wing and the explosion far below. For the first time, he feels the helplessness of his situation. Grand Moff Tarkin casts a sinister eye at the computer screen.
Rebel base, 1 minute and closing.
Dodonna and Princess Leia and 3PO beside them listen intently to the talk between the pilots. Their room is grim after Red Leader's death. Princess Leia nervously paces the room.
Biggs, Wedge, let's close it up. We're going in. We're going in full throttle.
The horizon twists as the wedge begins to pull out.
Oh, right with you, boss.
2 X-Wings peel off against the background of stars and dive towards the Death Star. Luke, at that speed, will you be able to pull out in time?
It'll just be like Beggar's Canyon back home.
The 3 X-Wings move in, unleashing a barrage of laser fire. Laser bolts are returned from the Death Star. Luke's lifelong friends struggle with his controls. We'll stay back far enough to cover you. Flak and laser bolts flash outside Luke's cockpit window.
My scope shows the tower, but I can't see the exhaust port. Are you sure the computer can hit it?
The Death Star laser cannon slowly rotates as it shoots laser bolts. Luke looks around for the Imperial TIE fighters. He thinks for a moment and then moves his targeting device into position.
Watch yourself. Increase speed, full throttle.
Wedge looks excitedly for the sign of any TIE fighters.
Oh, what about the tower?
You worry about those fighters. I'll worry about the tower.
Luke's X-Wing streaks through the trench, firing lasers. Luke breaks into a nervous sweat as the laser fires return, nicking one of his wings close to the engine.
R2, that stabilizer's broken loose again. See if you can't lock it down.
R2 works to repair the damages. The canyon wall rushes by in the background, making his delicate tasking even more precarious. Two laser cannons are firing on the rebel fighters. Wedge looks up and sees the TIE ships. Luke's targeting device marks off the distance to the target. Vader and his wingmen zoom closer. Vader adjusts his controls and fires laser bolts at two X-Wing flying down the trench. He scores a direct hit on Wedge. Leia and the others are grouped around the center computer board.
No,
Wedge.
I'm hit. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I'm hit. I can't stay with you.
Get clear, Wedge. You can't do any more good back there.
Sorry.
Wedge pulls his crippled X-Wing back away from battle. Vader watches the escape but issues a command to his wingmen.
Let him go. Stay on the leader.
Luke's X-Wing speeds down the trench, the three TIE fighters still in perfect unbroken formation, tail closed behind. Biggs looks around at the TIE fighters. He is worried.
That's you.
Oh,
Hurry, Luke. They're coming in much faster this time. I can't hold them. The three TIE fighters move ever closer, closing in on Luke and Biggs. Luke looks back anxiously at little R2.
R2, try and increase the power.
Ignoring the bumpy ride, flak, and lasers, a beeping R2-D2 struggles to increase the power, his dome turning from side to side. Stealthily, the TIE formation creeps closer. Vader adjusts his control stick. Biggs looks around at the TIE fighters. Luke looks into his targeting device. He moves it away for a moment and ponders its use. He looks back into the computer targeter. Hurry up, Luke. Vader and his wingmen race through the Death Star trench. Biggs moves in to cover for Luke, but Vader gains on him. Biggs sees a TIE fighter aiming at him. Wait! Vader squeezes the fire button on his controls. Biggs' cockpit explodes around him, lighting him in red. Biggs' ship bursts into a million flaming bits and scatters across the surface. Leia and the others stare at the computer board. Luke is stunned by Biggs' death. His eyes are watering, but his anger is also growing. Grand Moff Tarkin watches the projected target screen with satisfaction.
Rebel base, 30 seconds in closing.
Vader takes aim on Luke and talks to the wingmen.
Vader.
I'm on the leader.
Luke's ship streaks through the trench of the Death Star. Princess Leia returns her general's worried and doubtful glances with solid, grim determination. 3PO seems nervous.
Hang on, R2.
Luke concentrates on his targeting device. Three TIE fighters charge away down the trench toward Luke. Vader's fingers curls around the control stick. Luke adjusts the lens of his targeting device. Luke's ship charges down the trench. Luke lines up the yellow crosshairs of the targeting device. He looks into the targeting device, then starts at a voice he hears.
Use the Force, Luke.
The Death Star trench zooms by. Luke looks up and starts to look back into the targeting device. He has second thoughts.
Let go, Luke.
A grim determination sweeps across Luke's face as he closes his eyes and starts to mumble Ben's training to himself. Luke's fighter streaks through the trench.
The Force is strong with this one.
Vader follows Luke's X-Wing down the trench. Luke looks to the targeting device, then away as he nears Ben's voice.
Luke, trust me.
Luke's hand reaches for the control panel and presses the button. The targeting device moves away. Leia and the others stand watching the projected screen.
His computer's off. Luke, you switched off your targeting computer. What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm alright.
Luke's ship streaks ever close to the exhaust port. Luke looks at the Death Star surface streaking by. R2-D2 turns his head from side to side, beeping in anticipation. The three TIE fighters, manned by Vader and his two wingmen, follow Luke's X-Wing down the trench. Vader maneuvers his controls as he looks at his doomed target. He presses the fire buttons on his control stick. Laser fire shoots towards Luke's X-Wing fighter. A large burst of Vader's laser fire engulfs R2. The arms go limp on the smoking little droid as he makes a high-pitched sound.
Wow!
Luke looks frantically back at his shoulder at R2. Smoke billows around little R2 and sparks begin to fly.
Beep,
I've lost
Beep.
R2.
beep, beep.
Leia and the others stare intensely at the projected screen, while 3PO watches the princess. Lights representing the Death Star and targets glow brightly.
The Death Star has cleared the planet. The Death Star has cleared the planet.
Tarkin glares at the projected target screen.
Rebel base in range. You may fire when ready. Commence primary ignition.
This officer reaches up and pushes a button on the control panel as green lighted buttons turn to red. The 3 TIE fighters zoom down the Death Star trench in pursuit of Luke, never breaking formation. Luke looks anxiously at the exhaust port. Vader adjusts his control stick, checking his projected targeting screen. Luke's ship barrels down the trench. Vader's targeting computer swings around into position. Vader takes careful aim on Luke's X-Wing fighter.
I have you now.
He pushes the fire button. The 3 TIE fighters move in on Luke. As Vader's center fighter unleashes a volley of laser fire, one of the TIE ships at his side is hit and explodes into flame. The 2 remaining ships continue to move on. Luke looks about, wondering whose laser fire destroyed Vader's wingman. Vader is taken by surprise and looks out from his cockpit.
What?
Vader's wingman searches around him, trying to locate the unknown attacker. Han and Chewbacca grin from ear to ear.
Yahoo!
The Millennium Falcon heads right at the 2 TIE fighters. It's a collision course. The wingman spots a pirate ship coming in at him and warns the Dark Lord.
Look out!
Vader's wingman panics at the sight of the oncoming pirate ships and veers radically to one side, colliding with Vader's TIE fighter in the process. Vader's wingman crashes into the sidewalk of the trench and explodes. Vader's damaged ship spins out of the trench with a damaged wing. Vader's ship spins out of control with a bent solar fin, heading for deep space. Vader turns round and round in circles as his ship spins into space. Solo's ship moves in towards the Death Star trench. Solo, smiling, speaks to Luke over his headset mic.
You're all clear, kid.
Leia and the others listen to Solo's transmission.
Oh, now let's blow this thing and go home.
Luke looks up and smiles. He concentrates on the exhaust port, then fires his laser torpedoes. Luke's torpedoes shoot towards the port and seem to simply disappear into the surface and not explode. But the shots do find their mark and have gone into the exhaust port and are heading for the main reactor. Luke throws his head back in relief. An Imperial soldier runs to the control panel board and pulls the attack lever as the board lights behind him lights up.
Stand by to fire at the rebel base.
2 X-Wings, a Y-Wing, and a pirate ship race towards Yavin in the distance. Several Imperial soldiers, flanking a pensive Grand Moff Tarkin, busily push control levers and buttons.
Standing by.
The rumble of a distant explosion begins. The rebel ships race out of sight, leaving the moon-like Death Star alone against a blanket of stars. Several small flashes appear on the surface. The Death Star bursts into a supernova, creating a spectacular heavenly display.
Great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million.
Luke is at ease, and his eyes are closed.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.
The ship rocks back and forth. Vader's ship spins off into space. The rebel ships race towards the 4th moon of Yavin. Luke climbs out of his starship fighter and is cheered by a throng of ground crew and pilots. Luke climbs down the ladder as they all welcome him with laughter, cheers, and shouting. Princess Leia rushes towards him.
Oh yeah, me. Luke! Luke! Luke!
She throws her arm around Luke and hugs him as they dance around in a circle. Solo runs in toward Luke and they embrace one another, slapping each other on the back.
Oh, hey.
I knew you'd come back. I just knew it.
Well, I wasn't going to let you get all the credit and take all the reward.
Luke and Han look at one another as Solo playfully shoves at Luke's face. Leia moves in between them.
Hey, I knew there was more to you than money.
Luke looks towards the ship.
Oh no.
The fried little R2-D2 is lifted off the back of the fighter and carried off under the worried eyes of the 3PO.
Oh my, R2, can you hear me? Say something. You can repair him, can't you?
We'll get to work on him right away.
You must repair him. Sir, if any of my circuits or gears will help, I'll gladly donate them.
He'll be alright.
Alright, do you guys want me to do the music for this one?
Da 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 da.
No, it's ruined! It's ruined! Curse you!
No.
Da-da-da-da. All right.
Dun-dun-dun.
Do we read this first or no?
Oh yeah, I was gonna do the music while you're reading.
Oh, all right.
All right.
Here we go.
Ba-dum,
Luke, Han, and Chewbacca enter the huge ruins of the main temple. Hundreds of troops are lined up in the neat rows. Banners are flying, and at the end, far end stands a vision in white. The beautiful young Senator Leia. Luke and the others solemnly march up the long aisle and kneel before Senator Leia. From one side of the temple marches a shined up and fully repaired R2D2. He waddles up to the group and stands next to the equally pristine 3PO, who is rather awestruck by the whole event. Chewbacca is confused. Tadana and several other dignitaries sit on the left of the Princess Leia. Leia is dressed in a long white dress and is staggeringly beautiful. She rises and places a gold medallion around Han's neck. He winks at her. She then repeats the ceremony with Luke, who is moved by the event. They turn and face the assembled troops, who all bow before them. Chewbacca growls and R2 beeps with happiness. The end.
I'm gonna finish it there. All right.
That was
Yay!
pretty well timed. For
Yeah.
as he was reading it.
Oh, I know how to conduct that song with like from memory. I know every single note in that song. If I could play all those instruments, I could record it myself and it would be perfect. Yeah. I from memory. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I figure a lot of people could with such a well-known.
Oh no, but then
Yeah.
all the way to the end of the end credits, and I wouldn't miss a beat though. Like that's the thing.
Okay.
Like some people would
Yeah.
miss some. Yeah. No. Yeah. But
Well, that was my first time watching the movie, I guess you could say.
you need
Yeah,
all right, you need to watch
it's
the
a
movie.
Good series,
How
and
did
you
it
need to
sound?
see the real thing.
Yeah. That last scene is perfect.
'Cause
The
this is 4, right?
yes. But this
I've
is the
seen
first
5
one.
and 6. Yeah, first one released.
Yep. 1977. Holy shit. Wow. It is
Yeah,
what? It's
wow.
45 this year? Yeah.
I mean,
Holy.
I think MASH was still on when this released.
Oh my god, MASH. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, this was like a few years after Watergate, I think.
Oh god. This
I
was
love
2
making
years
things in
before the
reference
first
like that.
Alien. This was 2 years before the first Alien. What the fuck? 1979 was oh my god. This movie's so old. Oh shit. All right. Well, that was great. Everyone take a vocal bow. I don't know how you do that, but whatever, you know. Round of applause.
Yeah, yes.
Oh shit, I wasn't recording. We have to redo it all.
Oh,
That was 3.5
up.
hours. How long was the first run of Cryptocurrency? How long was the Megamind one? That was like an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Someone
Yeah,
else
this
could be
one was
narrating
pretty
it.
long.
The thing
This-
I noticed film is there was a lot more like
Narrated
set
action.
scenes,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that made the film with the script reading last so much longer than the Megamind one. Because the Megamind one was pretty much exacting.
I
But
was reading pretty fast. I'm like, I wasn't.
you
I was
were,
trying to-
yeah. I went into when I was doing the scene where they shot down the TIE fighters in the Millennium Falcon. I had to speed it up a little bit just to
Yeah.
like get the energy of the scene. But god damn.
Yeah, it was
But yeah, this
an
is
event.
all right. So who's up for Empire Strikes Back? Anyone?
I
Anyone?
think I think
I
I'll
need to-
probably take a break until the next May 4th, you know?
yeah. I need a
Yeah.
space battle break.
Hey, there's no space, or there's only one space battle in Empire Strikes Back, and it's not even really that much of a battle. It's more of a car chase.
Kale,
I thought you said-
the movie a ship.
But it's more of a car chase and less of a battle. A battle has two
Yeah.
sides.
We gotta
Hell,
read
if
it.
I have to read the
I
word,
thought you said you needed a Spaceballs break, as in just watching the movie Spaceballs to detox from real Star Wars.
That might actually be helpful. That may or may not be helpful.
hell, if I have to read the word TIE fighter one more time, I'm gonna tear my eyes out, bro.
All right, so do I have to be the narrator and Princess Leia and Ben Kenobi and R2D2 and the ensemble? Who can be Yoda? Who can be Yoda? We need to get to work to casting the Yoda. All right, who's gonna be Yoda? Everyone, do your Yoda impressions. That's how we'll end the stream.
Oh, I can do a Yoda
Too long
impression.
this has gone on.
I can do a Yoda impression.
Let's hear it.
How does?
Hey, it's me, Yoda.
Oh God, you know what? You know what? I think we've just found our next Yoda, baby. Here we go.
In here, I am.
We got it, Gabagoo.
Hey, I'm
How does Yoda
walking.
sound again?
I mean,
what?
we could do one where we just do
goes
all accents that
around the
don't fit at
perimeter.
all.
Around the survivors, a perimeter create.
Holy shit, that was actually not terrible.
You know what
Are you
I
saying
think would
mine
be
was?
No, but like Maxwell gets into it. Like Maxwell is he's been in acting longer than I have.
Well, I'm
And-
just having fun.
No, but like that
Okay.
Han Solo bit, holy shit, dude. In the cantina, I was like, holy shit, did we get Harrison Ford? Does he know Harrison Ford?
Like, I don't know about all that, but it was
I
fun.
think I gotta head off now.
All right,
Yeah.
bye
It's
everyone.
It's pretty late.
Thank you
Yes,
guys. Thank you guys so
Nice
much
meeting
for
you
being
all.
here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I had fun.
Empire Strikes Back next time, baby. Woo!